This girl possessed breathtaking beauty. Not only was she the empire's only princess, but she was also the current emperor's older sister. Her name was Kana. However, her beautiful face couldn't grant her true power. After helping her younger brother seize the throne, Kana was killed by his own hand. This is the story of the novel Black Rose. Kana was the beautiful, yet foolish and villainous, supporting female character. Her existence seemed solely to highlight the female lead. And the female lead, Olivia, captured the hearts of numerous men with her purity and kindness. Kana's heart was filled with envy. Later, she was used by her younger brother in an attempt to poison Olivia. However, Olivia possessed the protagonist's halo, and the plan ended in failure. Betrayed by her brother, Recep, Kana was ultimately married off to the cruel Jillian. Thus ended her bitter life. After finishing the novel, the girl felt deep sympathy for Kana. Perhaps it was because she shared a similar fate, living like a puppet controlled by others, facing the utterly despicable executives at her company. She no longer wanted to be manipulated. However, that night, the girl was stabbed by a crazed man. Slowly, she collapsed. She never imagined her own ending would be so similar to the villainous Kana's. The girl slowly closed her eyes. After an unknown amount of time, the girl opened her eyes again. The person in the room that came into view were completely unfamiliar, and she was completely unharmed. At that moment, a blonde-haired man stood by her bedside. The man crouched down, took her hand, and kissed it. "Kana, Imperial sister, you're finally awake." The girl was stunned. Could this person be Recep? Then wouldn't she have become? The girl abruptly sat up. She ran to the mirror, looking incredulously at the person in the mirror. It was exactly like the Kana described in the novel. Alluring red lips, ocean blue eyes, shimmering golden hair. She had actually become Kana again. This girl, bullied in her past life, died and transmigrated into a novel as a princess. She had golden hair and sapphire blue eyes, but it still couldn't change her tragic fate. In the novel, the princess helped her younger brother, Recep, ascend to the throne, only to be killed by him in the end. On this day, the newly reborn Kana sat on her bed, contemplating life. A maid hurriedly brought in a basin of water, explaining that due to poisoning, Kana's complexion was poor and she needed to be redressed. Kana fell into deep thought. "I was poisoned? What's going on?" Suddenly, she felt a stinging pain throughout her body. In an instant, countless memories flooded into Kana's mind. She saw herself drinking poisoned wine at a banquet, then vomiting blood and collapsing. These were all Kana's memories. Could her rebirth be related to this? So the reason she was drawn to the character of Kana was because she was her first life, and the modern world was her second. She should have died after being stabbed. But how did she return to this life? Just then, the maid, seeing Kana's discomfort, asked if she needed a doctor. Kana instructed the maid to leave her be. The maid breathed a sigh of relief. She had thought she would be blamed for not attending to her properly and would be severely scolded and whipped. Could it be the princess is in shock? She seems much quieter than before. Lost in thought, Kana allowed the maid to dress her. She couldn't believe the first thing after narrowly escaping death was to fix her appearance. Is this the duty of a princess? How ridiculous! To just be a beautiful vase. But it was ultimately pointless. After all, Kana in her past life possessed breathtaking beauty, yet she still died. As Kana thought about this, she laughed. This time, I won't allow myself to repeat the same mistakes. Having read this novel in my second life will definitely be helpful. Coupled with the gradually returning memories, Kana understood that the timing of her return wasn't too late. Because her father was still alive, it meant there was still a way to restrain Recep. But time was running out. Kana had to escape before Recep ascended the throne. Marriage was the only way. She couldn't bear the thought of marrying that madman from her past life again. This time, she needed a man she could control. But where could she find someone sweet, docile, and unlikely to imprison her? First, she had to evade Recep's watchful eyes and devise an escape plan. Just then, Recep requested an audience. Kana smiled faintly. What perfect timing. This breathtakingly beautiful girl was nothing more than a decorative vase in the palace. Beautiful, but powerless. Her fate was to be murdered by her own younger brother, Recep. Recep, the empire's next emperor, the second male lead in the novel, and her half-brother. He possessed the face of an angel, but his personality was violently cruel. He would even kill his own father to seize the throne. A truly unfilial son. Starved of his father's love since childhood, he grew into a tyrant. In the end, he was just a pitiful child, desperate for affection. Faced with Recep's feigned concern, Canis simply offered a perfunctory, "I'm fine." This made Recep anxious. Why was Canis so calm? He couldn't quite read her. Recep sat on the bed. Canis spoke indifferently. "You must be busy. You really didn't need to come see me." Recep offered polite platitudes, but inwardly he was panicking. Cana should have been furious, demanding he find the culprit. Why wasn't she following the script? She used to be so loud, wearing her heart on her sleeve. Now, he couldn't understand her at all. Recep stood abruptly. He must be overthinking it. Cana was nothing more than a beautiful puppet, devoid of any real substance. He leaned in and whispered, "I will find the person who poisoned you, sister, and make them pay dearly." Cana smiled faintly. Now she could see right through him. In his eyes, she was merely a pawn in his game to seize the throne. She pushed Recep away. "There's no need to investigate any further." Recep's eyes widened. "Why?" he exclaimed. "You were almost killed." "Yes," Canis said calmly. "I almost was." She glanced at Recep, her thoughts crystal clear. "And wasn't it you, Recep, my dear brother, who almost killed me?" Seeing her silence, Recep asked anxiously, "Are you worried about retaliation?" "Don't worry, I won't let that happen." Cana shook her head. She knew exactly what Recep's next move would be. Who would be the perfect scapegoat? That lovesick young Master Jillian, perhaps? A vassal of the Kidre dukedom. A convenient excuse to decimate their family as well. Recep wanted to weaken the Kidre family. This entire charade was a self-manufactured crisis, but his plan was doomed to fail. Records of poison purchases on the black market could be easily altered. Such evidence held no weight. Recep pressed further. "If you don't want me to investigate, is it because of Ivan Kidre?" Cana paused. Ivan had been her first love, a secret crush, but that was a lifetime ago. She explained patiently, "I'm doing this because my maternal grandfather, the Hamel earldom, is involved in the black market. The Kidre family won't stand idly by while their vassal is framed. They'll discover that the Hamels are using the black market to embezzle the emperor's funds. The emperor will punish them severely. If the Kidres find out you framed them, you'll be the one in trouble." Cana wouldn't allow that to happen. If the Hamel family fell, her own situation would become even more precarious. Cana continued, "Don't try to bring down the Duke's family. Bring them into your fold." Recep couldn't believe his ears. Why had she become so shrewd? Cana looked at Recep. "Taking advantage of this situation, I'd like a trustworthy maid. What do you think of Olivia?" Recep asked, the young lady directly sponsored by the Kidre family. What was Cana planning? She used to despise that girl. But Cana knew. Olivia was the female lead of the novel, the woman who would capture Recep's heart. And this time, Recep would want her too. Later, when he chooses Recep, Recep will likely develop murderous intentions towards her. Recep, skeptical, asked again. Cana stood firm in her choice. "After all, I can't always do as I please." Recep stared at Cana. "What are you trying to do?" Cana looked at Recep, then descended from the bed. She knelt before Recep, kissing his hand. "My beloved king." This sudden display of subservience made Recep blush. He tried to lift Cana up. Cana spoke in a low voice. "I only have you. Recep, you are my brother and my only family." This phrase, Cana had uttered to him countless times. Recep brushed her hand away. "Enough. He must be mad." Recep clenched his fists. "What game are you playing?" Cana countered with a question of her own. "Do you trust me? Do you truly see me as your sister? If I no longer have any value to you, how will you treat me?" The answer is obvious. You will use me as a pawn in a marriage alliance, offering me to some nobleman for your own gain. I only hope the man I marry isn't a madman and won't kill me. If she were married to Jillian again, she might be imprisoned and ultimately meet a tragic end. Cana stepped closer to him. "I understand my situation perfectly. I also understand that you need my help." She wanted to live as her true self. What she desired was freedom. Recep burst into laughter. "You would give up your wealth and status?" Cana spoke softly. "Allow me to choose my own husband. That is the freedom I desire. And in return, I can help you ascend the throne. Though you could likely achieve it without my aid. Your power would be divided. For instance, with the Muins family, who hold the position of advisors." Recep said, "Are you suggesting you want to be my advisor?" Cana brushed her hair back. "I know you don't trust me, but think about it carefully." However, before she could finish, Cana felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. Then, she collapsed unconscious. Recep caught the falling Kana. Her body was burning hot. He shouted for help. She's fainted. Just then, Kana reached out, caressing Recep's face. Recep, you truly are a kind child. He was the ruthless crown prince, capable of using his own sister and then discarding her without a second thought. Yet now, he was filled with doubt. Recep casually instructed his attendant, reinvestigate Kana's poisoning, find a few scapegoats amongst the fallen nobility, and increase surveillance on the princess. Report her every move to me. Also, look into Olivia. The attendant was puzzled. This was the first time he had seen Recep so distracted. Nevertheless, he retreated without a word. Recep closed his eyes and thought. All this time, he had believed he was the one manipulating Kana, but it turned out he was the one being played. Impossible. How could she be so clever? Could someone be advising her? The Count Hamill's family? They had no reason to do so. The Paya Empire currently had 3 potential heirs, Recep, Kana, and Ist-Heinrich. The Heinrich family, due to their descent from the late emperor's mistress, were not considered part of the direct line of succession. Furthermore, a hereditary illness plagued their family, leaving them largely disregarded. Then, one day, a local nobleman rose to prominence, commanding a significant force. This was the Duke's adopted son, Ist-Heinrich. His emergence shifted the balance of power within the empire. He took Caitlin, the emperor's mistress, hostage, demanding the emperor recognize his family's legitimate claim to the throne and grant him the right of succession. Recep had initially intended to use Kana to check his power, but now his gaze was no longer vacant. It held a glint of cunning and intelligence. What should he do with Kana? Kana, while preparing herself in her chambers, learned that the culprit behind the poisoning had been found. Recep had indeed heeded her advice. For the next half-month, she focused on recuperating and, at the same time, allaying Recep's suspicions, obediently remaining within the palace. Because Recep had apprehended the culprit, Duke Heinrich found himself at a disadvantage in the struggle for the throne. To prevent Recep from gaining popular support, he decided to divert the public's attention. Therefore, gossip columns overflowed with Kana's name. Fueled by her own subtle manipulations, rumors of Princess Kana's beauty spiraled, painting her as a woman of unparalleled loveliness, a rose with hidden thorns. They called her the most beautiful woman in the empire. In her past life, naive and easily used, she had been a pawn. This time, she would hold the strings. As her maid brushed her hair, Kana contemplated her next move. The nobles are eagerly awaiting your coming-of-age ceremony. Princess, you'll soon have a fiancé. Do you still wish for Master Kidre? Kana knew Recep's spies surrounded her. Every word meticulously reported back to him, and to the emperor as well. Father disapproves of the match, Kana said softly. I believe it's an impossibility. If Master Kidre were to become the prince consort, it could disrupt the balance of power between the imperial family and the nobility. The maid startled. Such words from the previously frivolous princess were unexpected. The emperor's strained relationship with the Kidre family was an open secret, though the reasons remained shrouded in speculation. In this delicate climate, the princess's insistence on marrying Ivan Kidre would undoubtedly create a considerable dilemma for His Majesty. If you speak with His Majesty, the maid urged, perhaps he will reconsider. But Kana knew better. Even if her father agreed, it wouldn't be for her sake, but as a strategic maneuver to undermine the Kidre dukedom. Kana rose and turned away. I was blind to my father's burdens, she murmured, consumed by childish infatuation. I failed in my duties as a princess, but it's not too late to rectify my mistakes. Kana's coming-of-age ceremony was fast approaching. Preparations within the palace had begun weeks ago, and her gown was already finished. The maid showered Kana with compliments as she stood before them, radiant in her finery. Such empty praise had once been music to her ears. Bella, one of the maids, noticed a shift. The princess, who had once thrived on flattery, now remained impassive. While others attributed the change to a newfound quietude after her poisoning, Bella knew better. This princess was a force to be reckoned with. Kana's gaze settled on Bella. Sharp, ambitious, and perceptive, Bella was the only maid Kana deemed potentially useful. The maids in the princess's household were all daughters of noble families, placed there by Recep. Eager to curry favor with the prince, they would betray Kana without hesitation. Kana had offered Bella an opportunity. Would she take it? To avoid becoming a puppet again, Kana knew she needed her own allies. Before, she had nothing, a mere marionette dancing to someone else's tune. Once, She had naively believed the power she wielded was her own. A cruel illusion. Now, fully awakened, she would not stumble twice. This life would be hers. Prepare yourselves, Cana addressed the maids. I'm going to see His Majesty. Poisoned, recently recovered. Knowing full well it was her own half-brother who had orchestrated her near demise, she walked towards her father, a bright, guileless smile fixed upon her face. She would not accuse Recep. Cana understood. In her past life, her father had been deeply disappointed by her naivete. Their estrangement had been inevitable. Now, she played the role of the obedient, understanding daughter. As expected, the emperor was taken aback. He hadn't anticipated Cana's knowledge of Recep's betrayal, much less her apparent willingness to protect him. He then broached the subject of her upcoming coming-of-age ceremony and the necessity of finding a suitable husband. The mention of marriage inevitably brought Ivan to mind. He would never be hers, not truly. She needed only his power, his influence. I'll leave the matter entirely in your hands, Father, Cana said dutifully. As a princess of this empire, I cannot afford to be swayed by personal feelings. The emperor, still reeling from Cana's uncharacteristic docility, was astonished. She had always been so insistent on marrying Ivan. Touched by her apparent maturity, he felt a renewed sense of paternal responsibility. I will find you a worthy husband, he promised. After Cana's departure, the emperor beamed. She was a different person, defending her brother, relinquishing her pursuit of Ivan. It was remarkable. Could it be true? Did she no longer harbor feelings for the young Kidray? Ivan Kidray, with the signature black hair and crimson eyes of his lineage, possessed a steely aura honed on the battlefield, captivating the hearts of countless young women within the city walls. Looking at Ivan Kidray before her, Cana couldn't deny his undeniable charm. Lord Kidray, she began, her voice smooth and measured. It has been a while. Ivan was taken aback by her formality. Had their previous encounters meant so little? Have you come to see His Majesty? Cana inquired. A murmur rippled through the waiting crowd. The emperor, claiming to be resting, had received Princess Cana. It was a blatant snub to those present, but what could they do? Ivan could only excuse himself, preparing to depart. But as they passed each other, Cana's lips parted slightly. I know why you've come to see the emperor, she murmured. Perhaps I can help. If you have time, why don't we have tea? Ivan turned, studying Cana. Even if she knew, what could she possibly do? She was different. Gone was the lovesick princess he remembered, replaced by a composed, almost calculating woman. Her gaze held a quiet confidence, a hint of carefully laid plans. He turned back. It would be my honor, Your Highness. The princess who once swooned over handsome men, vowing to marry only for love, was now a woman seemingly focused on matters of state. The maids, peering through the window at Ivan's side. The Duke is so handsome, one whispered, hurrying to fetch Cana's most elaborate gown, eager to see their princess looking her best. But Cana waved her away. There's no need for such finery. Comfort will do. A moment later, the door opened, and Ivan was momentarily stunned. Cana, usually adorned in jewels and vibrant silks, was dressed with unexpected simplicity. There was no elaborate display, no coquettish gestures. Instead, she possessed an understated elegance that took him by surprise. Ivan reminded himself that whatever change had come over her was none of his concern. Shall we discuss your marriage prospects? Cana began. As for how I know you're troubled by this matter, well, it wasn't difficult to deduce. You are, after all, the heir to the Empire's most powerful military family. Yet, you seem averse to marriage. Of course, that's just my impression. Cana's gaze was steady, careful not to betray her knowledge of a secret. The novel had made it clear. Only Ivan and his closest confidants knew. If you wish to gain the approval of your vassals and inherit the dukedom, she continued, the simplest solution is marriage. Unless, of course, you can prove your capabilities to them. You intend to take command of the military from His Majesty to demonstrate your competence, don't you? Cana knew that Ivan's parents were embroiled in a messy divorce. His father, Leo, having married into the family, had been unfaithful. His mother, aware of the infidelity, had planned to oust her husband once Ivan inherited the title. But things hadn't gone as planned. Rumors had spread throughout the city, questioning Ivan's suitability for leadership, whispering about his supposed preferences. The vassals were hesitant. A vigorous young man of 23 who had never even held a woman's hand? It was no wonder tongues wagged. But the truth, a truth Cana held close, was that Ivan suffered from haphophobia, a debilitating aversion to touch. Any physical contact caused him intense discomfort. His mother, unaware of his condition, continued to search for a suitable bride, and Ivan, desperate to prove himself worthy, sought to secure the dukedom through military achievement. And how? Ivan asked, his voice laced with skepticism. Do you propose to solve my marital predicament? Could she possibly know? This handsome, 23-year-old man had never held a woman's hand. And the reason? A secret he guarded closely. Yet, this woman before him seemed to know him intimately. Kana gestured to a servant, instructing them to pour the tea, strong, with milk and sugar. Meeting Ivan's questioning gaze, she explained, it's a special blend I often drink. When work keeps me from meals, it helps stave off hunger. She offered him the cup. Try it. Ivan recalled the gifts Kana had often given him. Perhaps this was one of them. He took a tentative sip. To his surprise, it was delicious. This is good, he admitted, a flicker of genuine pleasure in his eyes. May I have another? Kainas Miled. I'm glad you like it. I was worried it wouldn't suit your taste. Ivan stared at the cup, a strange, unfamiliar feeling stirring within him. For the first time, he understood the meaning of a simple pleasure. Now, Kana said, her voice bringing him back to the present. Let's discuss your potential brides. Leaving the palace, Ivan returned home. His mother was waiting. Ivan pressed a hand to his forehead, a familiar headache building. Tea, please, he instructed his servant, and make one of them strong. Add milk and sugar, Ivan said, meeting his mother's questioning gaze. It's a new preference I've acquired just today. His mother, ever direct, got straight to the point. This is the marriage prospect I've chosen for you. This is Miss Bayshaw, the Earl Ivan's family. She plays the piano beautifully and is skilled in embroidery. Looking at the portrait, Ivan recalled Kana's words. But she faints at the sight of blood. I'm afraid she wouldn't be suitable as the matriarch of a military family. More importantly, the Earl is drowning in debt and will soon be swallowed up by other families. Then there's Miss Lita. Her knowledge and abilities aren't sufficient to lead a large household. Crucially, she suffers from bouts of mania. Although well hidden, it will be discovered soon enough. Finally, there's Miss Olivia. She's beautiful, with a strong character, and very suitable for you. And I hope you haven't forgotten that I was instrumental in fostering this match. Ivan's face darkened as he finished recounting the list. What was the point of her matchmaking? In his past life, he'd been obsessed with handsome men, refusing to marry anyone else. This time around, he merely offered a bland smile, even going so far as to suggest potential wives for the very men he'd once pursued. He couldn't understand it. Kana couldn't have discussed these matters with his mother beforehand. He felt like he was being manipulated. Thinking rationally, his mother wasn't wrong. He didn't need a wife to help manage the family. But whispering sweet nothings into a lover's ear, gently caressing their face, those things he couldn't do. I've said it many times, Ivan stated firmly. I will not marry. His mother was equally furious. This concerns the honor of the entire family. It's not something you can simply refuse. Ivan frowned. The more he thought about it, the more something felt amiss. Kana discussing this with me at this particular time, it's no coincidence. What is she planning? I must see her again. The opulent palace held delicate pastries arranged artfully on a table. Several maids chattered excitedly. Come try these. They're the new pastries. They were too expensive before, but thanks to the princess, we can eat as many as we like. After the princess was poisoned and recovered, she suddenly became so gentle. She doesn't get angry even if we don't serve her properly. Even if we make mistakes, she forgives us. Shouldn't we be thanking whoever poisoned her? Lydia scoffed inwardly. She hadn't expected Kana to become so easy to manipulate. Just then, Bella arrived. As the princess's maid, shouldn't you be cleaning her chambers instead of gossiping? Lydia remained unconcerned. The princess hasn't reprimanded me, so what right do you have to criticize? And while I'm currently doing your job, don't forget I'm a respected young lady of the Benzman family. And strictly speaking, it's Prince Recep who employs us, not Princess Kana. You've become quite arrogant lately. You think you're above everyone else just because Princess Kana favors you? Well, Prince Recep will always have our backs. We're here to keep Princess Kana in check. All we need to do is please Prince Recep. Who do you think you are? You're utterly clueless. With that, they flounced off. Bella watched them go, her fists clenched. Idiots, she muttered. Have you ever seen such insolent maids? Not only are they lazy, but they mock the princess behind her back. And then they have the audacity to lecture the princess's personal maid. Bella thought they were fools. She'd actually considered joining them before. It seemed she needed to be more vigilant. The princess wouldn't tolerate such insubordination. The maids in the princess's household all coveted the position of the prince's his consort. Recep was the empire's only prince. He possessed dashing good looks and a captivating voice. His noble status overshadowed his flawed personality. These noble women naively believed they could change his cold, violent nature with their love. It was a foolish dream. Bella only wanted to prove her worth. She would be loyal to whoever recognized her value. In her chambers, Cana closed her book. Knowing Bella's character, she wouldn't associate with those women. As expected, Bella had returned. Cana was pleased. Standing with the strong was a wise choice. It was because of that choice that Bella had saved her life. Annie, too, was a clever girl. Cana generously rewarded them with pouches filled with coins. Arrogant and overbearing Lydia, in the first life, had reported Cana's every move to Recep. In the end, she'd been executed. Utterly foolish. Foolish Lydia. Only by escaping this hellish palace as quickly as possible can you change your fate of execution. Ivan and Olivia's marriage is the very beginning of the entire novel. Currently, Ivan's marriage is already on the agenda. It's believed they will meet soon. Cana took out a piece of paper. Before that, she had something to do. That was to make Olivia one of her own. Olivia's family was a loyal vassal of the Kidray ducal family. If Olivia entered the palace under the orders of Recep, Ivan's rival, then it was inevitable that a rift would form between her family and the Kidris. In that case, their marriage would likely be affected. So, she couldn't let Olivia enter the palace under Recep's orders. She had to enter under the emperor's. No matter how unwilling the Kidray family was, they couldn't defy an imperial decree. Cana spoke slowly. Annie, go to the Marriott Salon on Lawrence Street and deliver this letter. Just then, a maid rushed in. She reported that Recep was in a furious rage, smashing everything he could get his hands on. Cana immediately said, "Let's go to the prince's residence." The crown prince, who had been a raging storm only moments before, transformed in the next second into a docile puppy, embracing his older sister. Not long ago, Recep had been rampaging in his room. Those ungrateful wretches, those damned ingrates. How many favors have I given them? And they're swayed by a few measly minds. They dare call me a bastard? I am the empire's only prince. What is he? I am the rightful heir. Will I become emperor? I'll execute them all. Just then, Cana arrived. This room is a disaster. Why haven't you cleaned it up yet? What if the prince were to injure himself? Who would take responsibility? The nearby guards were astonished. When had the princess become so commanding? Recep glared at Cana, sternly telling her not to come closer. However, Cana didn't stop. Instead, she walked towards him even faster. Recep gritted his teeth. I said, "Don't come any closer." But in the next instant, Cana's hand gently touched his face. "But if I didn't come, you would be all alone. You need to remember, I'm always here for you. Look, you're hurt. It must hurt. Such a handsome face. What if it scars?" Recep's eyes widened. He felt an overwhelming tenderness. Then, he reached out and embraced Princess Cana. "Sister, I'm not a child anymore. You don't need to coddle me." Hearing this, Cana smiled brightly. "So, are you feeling better now?" She reached out again, gently stroking his wound. Recep didn't resist. Instead, he closed his eyes, savoring the moment of tranquility. He felt much better now. Inside the room, Cana finished bandaging Recep's wound. Then she said softly, "Your injury hurts me more than my own. Of all places, it had to be your face. You're the face of the empire, you know." Recep turned his head away. "I'm sorry, sister. After I heard that news, I just couldn't help myself." Cana knew it must be because Leisure had stolen his supporters again. Because of his birth, he always hated being compared to Leisure. Though violent, he was still a child at heart. He was at an age where he craved the love of his family. Their father was indifferent to Recep. The only one who cared for him was Cana. So, Cana decided she would use love and acceptance to guide him. Murdered by her own brother in her past life, she was determined to use love and acceptance to guide him in this one. Cana comforted Recep. "Don't worry. Leave everything to your sister. Many nobles are waiting to attend my coming-of-age ceremony. Father has agreed to let me choose my own husband. It won't be long before the nobles hear the news. Then they'll all think, as long as I can manipulate this foolish princess, I can claim the emperor's throne. But unfortunately for them, I'll fall ill on the day of the ceremony. Then you will receive them and bring them into your fold." Recep understood. This way, he could win back the supporters Leisure had stolen. But this required Cana's sacrifice. How could he agree to her marrying someone else? Didn't you like Ivan before? You said you wouldn't marry anyone but him. Kaina knew what Recep was worried about. She replied, "It's true I wanted Ivan before, but who can guarantee that feelings will never change?" He even doubted if he had ever truly loved her. There's no such thing as eternal love in this world. Even the most passionate love fades with time. At the banquet, the noble ladies gossiped amongst themselves. I hear the Kidre family requested portraits of many noble ladies. Hasn't Princess Kaina reacted at all? Is the rumor true? Has Her Highness truly given up on Ivan? So that means Olivia might become Lady Kidre. After all, her portrait was also sent to the Duke's residence. Olivia, standing nearby, pondered. She'd never been qualified to attend such events before. Just because her portrait had been sent to the Duke's residence, invitations had started pouring in. A noble lady giggled, covering her mouth. "Miss Olivia, it seems your happy day is approaching. You must be very pleased lately. Princess Kaina is usually so arrogant. If this marriage is settled, it will be a good way to take her down a peg. Your family is quite poor. As the eldest daughter, you must marry well to support your younger siblings." Olivia simply smiled faintly. "Is that so? I wasn't aware my happy day was approaching." The other noble ladies found her reaction dull. "What's with her?" Olivia mused. It seemed the news of her selection as a palace maid hadn't spread yet, but Princess Kaina clearly disliked her. Why would she want her in the palace? The timing was too coincidental. Recep had just ordered her to serve the princess, and right after, her portrait was requested by the Duke's residence. Could it be that the princess knew her portrait would be requested, and that's why she brought her to the palace? Olivia understood the implications. If she obeyed Recep's order, it would definitely create friction with the Kidre family. Outsiders might even think Recep and Ivan were working together. What were they planning? A princess's maid was a first-class position. Why would she be given such a position for no reason? Just then, someone approached. "Are you Miss Olivia? My master asked me to deliver this letter to you." Does she believe in things falling from the sky? Not only was her portrait chosen by the Duke's residence, but she was also promoted to be the princess's maid. On top of that, she received a letter from a mysterious person. Olivia was bewildered. Why would someone send her a letter out of the blue? Moreover, there was no identification on the envelope. It was clear the sender wanted to conceal their identity. Olivia retorted, "I don't even know who wrote this. Why should I open it?" Bella smiled faintly. "My master was right. If Miss Olivia asks this, you should say, 'Clever Olivia, you must be quite puzzled by recent events. This letter may offer you some answers, so you can make a wise choice.'" Olivia slowly opened the letter. It was indeed from Princess Kaina. The letter read, "The current situation may be troubling you, but all you can do now is wait patiently. Don't draw too much attention to yourself. Be discreet. It will be good for you and your family. Soon, another order will be issued. I look forward to the day we meet." Olivia pondered. Another order? Could it be a royal decree? What was the princess planning? In the palace, Kaina refused Ivan's request for a meeting once again. This seemed to be the fifth time. After rejecting Ivan, Kaina asked where Recep was. Annie informed her that Recep was meeting with Earl Albert. Kaina recalled, "Earl Albert, the one with the sapphire mine? Recep, make good use of the opportunity I've prepared for you. Hurry and bring them to your side." Just then, Annie asked, "Princess, where are you going?" Kaina replied that she was going to personally make some sweets for Recep. Annie was stunned. "What? You're going to make them yourself?" In the kitchen, Kaina worked efficiently and quickly finished the desserts. "I often cooked in the second chamber. Besides, my mother was a baker. This is a piece of cake." Kaina also made a portion for the servants, as they had all been working hard. Kaina then asked if anyone would like to deliver the sweets to Recep. After all, many maids would usually be eager for such a task. As expected, Lydia was the first to volunteer. However, the next second, after touching the dessert, she cried out, "It's hot," and dropped it. Kaina's hand was burned. Have you ever seen such a gentle princess? Burned by a maid, yet blaming herself for being careless, and even comforting the startled servant. Just now, Lydia, the maid, accidentally burned Princess Kaina. She immediately knelt down and begged for forgiveness. Bella angrily scolded, "Do you have a death wish? Injuring the princess is a capital offense." However, Kana wasn't angry. Instead, she felt it was her own fault. It was my carelessness. I should have reminded her to wait until it cooled down before bringing it over. It's just a minor burn. Lydia, you must be frightened. Everyone, please go back and rest. After the maids had withdrawn, Bella clutched her head and sighed. Your Highness, are you just going to let her off the hook? Someone like her won't reflect on her mistakes. You should have seized this opportunity to teach her a lesson. However, Kana had her own plans. Bella, you know I'm not forgiving her out of kindness, right? You've been by my side for so long. You should understand my character. She continued, please take these sweets to Recep. Bella bowed and retreated, knowing this was also a test. In the Crown Prince's residence, Recep gaped at the apple pie Kana had made. Did my sister make this herself? It looked beautiful and smelled delicious. After examining it for a moment, Recep took a bite without hesitation, startling the attendant beside him. Who knew if the princess had poisoned it? But Recep smiled. The taste was sweet and pleasant, with a subtle fragrance. Upon learning the scent came from cinnamon, Recep realized for the first time that he enjoyed the taste of cinnamon. And Kana possessed such a skill. Even more surprising, the apple pie seemed to alleviate Recep's fatigue. It had been a long time since he'd enjoyed afternoon tea so leisurely. He longed to share it with Kana. However, Bella informed him that Kana had just been injured. Recep's expression darkened. My sister was injured. He strode towards the princess's residence and burst through the door. He surveyed the lavishly decorated room, the expensive tea, and the perfume his sister often wore. A maid enjoying such luxury? How audacious, Recep said softly. People make mistakes. Sometimes they make the wrong choices. But I despise those who lack self-awareness. Recep had fought to survive since childhood, constantly proving his worth, lest his father make him disappear. This scene was truly satisfying. The gentle princess showed kindness, but the maids were becoming emboldened. However, the crown prince was no pushover. He grabbed Lydia's shoulder. Like a demon from hell. I've never heard of a maid daring to burn the princess. You truly are audacious. Lydia trembled, pleading, Your Highness, please spare me. I didn't do it on purpose. The princess said it wasn't a serious injury. These words only fueled Recep's rage. Taking advantage of my sister's kindness, you servants dare to overstep your boundaries. Do I have to chop off your arm for you to understand your mistake? Someone, chop off her arm. The attendant beside him clutched his head in exasperation. No one could stop Recep in this state of fury. However, the next moment he was proven wrong. Kana gently stepped forward to intervene. Don't do that. Seeing you so worried about me, I'm truly touched. Had I known you'd be this angry, I would have punished her myself. Recep muttered. Harming the princess is a capital offense. A mere maid daring to challenge the royal authority. If you agree, I can execute her immediately. But Kana continued to explain, it was just an accident. Come now, don't be angry. Let's have some tea together. You look quite frightening just now, Recep. Recep asked with some concern, did I scare you? Kana smiled. Of course not. Looking at Recep, she was reminded of the boy who had held her hand and played with her in the palace during their childhood. Kana had never experienced the warmth of family. In her first life, she suffered the emperor's neglect and was used and then abandoned by Recep. But Kana believed he was still her brother. His personality hadn't been this twisted from birth. It was the oppression and indifference from their father, the lack of warmth and love, that had shaped him into this. In this palace, Kana mused, her voice soft. He has no one. So many mock him for being born out of wedlock. Imagine how lonely he must be. If I show him enough love and care, I'm sure he'll change. She looked at Recep with gentle inquiry. How is the apple pie? Do you like it? Recep's face lit up. I love it. It's even better than the ones the palace chefs make. Hearing this, Kana immediately instructed a servant to take the remaining pie to the hospital. She would share the rest with Recep. Kana knew that showing Recep love and compassion was one of her most important tasks. She stroked his hair affectionately. Recep, you're such a good boy. In her past life, she had become her brother's puppet, used and ultimately discarded, meeting a tragic end. Now, reborn, she was trying to redeem him with affection. Was this truly the right path? Kana continued to stroke Recep's hair, showering him with praise. Recep froze, taken aback by her tenderness. He had done so much for the royal family throughout his life, yet no one had ever praised him like this. not even successfully retaliating against his rival, Li Shi, or cunningly acquiring everything he desired, compared to the simple warmth of his sister's approval. Recep kissed Kaina's hand, surprised by this gentle side of her. He smiled, a genuine smile. Having you by my side, sister, it makes me so happy. The sister before him was no longer a mere plaything, but a kind and beautiful woman, his only true family within the cold walls of the palace. Kaina beamed back at him. Recep, you're becoming quite the charmer. Those watching the pair depart were stunned into silence. The princess had so easily calmed the volatile crown prince. A nearby attendant frowned. Even the emperor struggled to control Recep's temper, yet Princess Kaina had managed to pacify him in an instant. Recep, despite his fiery nature, was the one he had chosen to follow. He was easier to manipulate than Li Shi. He had hoped Recep would remain arrogant and predictable. It seemed he would have to be more wary of Kaina in the future. Meanwhile, in the emperor's chambers, the emperor inquired about Kaina's burn. Kaina smiled, assuring him that she was much better. Recep has even been helping me change the dressings. The emperor waved a dismissive hand. Eliminating a minor family like the Benzmans is hardly a matter of great concern. Kaina knew that if she had truly punished Lydia's family, the emperor would have likely reprimanded her for it. So, she maintained a facade of understanding. It's all right, father. The emperor continued. Remember, a good servant can be a valuable asset. Kaina seized the opportunity to express her desire to hire new maids. I like to find some who are familiar with the latest trends in the capital. I plan to replace my outdated wardrobe and acquire some new jewelry. Kaina was carefully crafting an image of herself as a naive and innocent young woman, a lovable daughter eager to please her father. Just then, the emperor's steward, Lud, mentioned the need for Kaina to have an older female companion, a role traditionally filled by a nursemaid. Kaina's nursemaid had been dismissed from the palace some time ago. The emperor decided to recall her. Kaina was overjoyed. Nursemaid Koro was like a mother to her. This was an unexpected boon. Leaving the emperor's chambers, Kaina stopped short. Standing before her was Ivan, the man she had rejected 5 times. She hadn't expected him to go so far as to enter the palace just to see her after so many rejections. Not only that, but he had also brought an extravagant gift. Kaina stared at it, astonished. Is this the legendary red tea that can only be acquired through auction? She murmured. It was said to be worth a king's ransom. A smile touched her lips. I didn't expect you to prepare a thank you gift. It seems the information I gave you is quite helpful. The weather is lovely today. Perhaps we could take a stroll together. Ivan, hearing this, immediately took Kaina's hand, offering to act as her escort. Kaina, however, didn't respond directly, subtly deflecting his offer. Ivan's expression fell slightly. The princess clearly wasn't interested in him as a guard. In the gardens, Kaina asked, I'm surprised you're willing to be alone with me. Aren't you afraid I'll shamelessly cling to you like before? Ivan's expression turned serious. I don't think you would do that now. Kaina smiled brightly. You trust me that much? It seems you're very satisfied with the information I provided. The other families I mentioned last time, they'll fall from grace soon. So, naturally, your marriage proposals with them will be canceled. That leaves only House Grace as a potential match. Miss Olivia is an excellent and intelligent young woman. I believe she would be quite suitable for you. However, Olivia will soon become my maid. Once that happens, House Kidry's support for her family will cease, and your engagement will dissolve. In the end, all the marriage prospects your mother favors will be nullified. This way, she won't pressure you about marriage for a while. Congratulations, Lord Kidray. Alan couldn't fathom how Kaina had predicted all of this. He also couldn't understand why she wanted him to marry Olivia. Kaina had clearly detested Olivia before. Kaina spoke softly. None of that matters anymore. Disgust, resentment, jealousy, even love, none of it matters. By the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to formally apologize. I hope you can forgive my past rudeness towards you. I, Kaina, swear again, in the name of the princess, that I will never act disrespectfully towards you again. She was a princess of noble birth, yet in her past life, she had become a lovesick fool. Now, reborn, love held no importance. Alan couldn't believe the woman who had once loved him so desperately was now so cold. What would she possibly gain from acting this way? Kaina chuckled. What I gain is something very precious. Lord Kidry's trust. I told you that information beforehand to prove that I am a strategist worthy of your trust. If you want to persuade someone someone, you must offer them something beneficial, whether material or emotional. And for Ivan, emotionally stunted as he was, trust was the benefit Kana offered. He slowly began, "So, can I understand this to mean that you need me, and that you're also testing my trustworthiness?" Kana nodded with a smile. Ivan studied the unfamiliar woman before him. What was her true objective? Was it to put Recep on the throne? No. If that were the case, she wouldn't have to go to such lengths. The royal family and House Kidre had always been at odds. Even if House Kidre was the most powerful family after the royals, there was no need for her to join forces with them to ensure Recep's ascension. Joining forces with another family would achieve that goal much faster. Yet Kana had chosen Ivan. That meant it wasn't about the succession. Could it be something personal? Ivan pondered. If this were the past, he would never have believed her. But now, she radiated an air of complete control, forcing him to believe. Kana saw his apprehension. "Don't worry, I would never do anything to harm you. Now that we've finished our conversation, let's head back. It wouldn't be good if rumors started." Kana turned to leave, but she stumbled. She was about to fall when Ivan reacted swiftly, catching her. The air thickened with a sudden intimacy. Without a word, Kana pushed Ivan away. She knew Ivan disliked physical contact, so she tried her best not to touch him. Their relationship had finally improved. She couldn't let it revert because of this. After all, she would need his help to find a fake husband later. Ivan looked at his hand. He hadn't been mistaken. Kana had been consistently avoiding his touch. No one should know about his aversion to physical contact. Why had Kana's personality changed so drastically? Now, she exuded a calm and reserved demeanor, as if she could foresee the future. In the next moment, Ivan strode forward and took Kana's hand. "Princess, please forgive my impertinence." Could you believe it? This man, with his aversion to touch, who had never even held a girl's hand, had taken Kana's hand. Kana was stunned. Didn't he have a phobia about touching? Ivan explained, "I'll let go once we're off this dirt path. If you find it uncomfortable, please bear with me for a moment." Kana hesitated. Shouldn't he be the uncomfortable one? But in the end, the two of them still walked together to the intersection. Once they were out of the gardens, Kana quickly moved to dismiss her guest. "I originally wanted to invite you in for tea, but I know you're busy with official business, so I won't keep you." Ivan was taken aback. Kana, who had previously clung to him relentlessly, wasn't even trying to make him stay. Ivan, not giving up, added, "Your Highness, I'm actually not busy at all." However, Kana still didn't take the bait, saying that Ivan needn't force himself and that she would invite him another time. At this point, Ivan couldn't say much more. He kissed her hand and took his leave. Just then, Recep arrived. "Sister, I've been looking everywhere for you. So you were here. Lord Ivan is here too, I see." The moment Recep arrived, the atmosphere froze. Kana guessed that Recep had heard Ivan was here and had come to find her. Recep didn't control any military power. However, Leisure commanded several military families, so Recep also wanted to gain military power to counter him. After all, the combined forces of all the families under Leisure couldn't compare to the power of the Kidre family. The Kidre family soldiers had long guarded the national borders and were considered the elite of the elite. Therefore, the strongest military family in the empire was the Kidre family. Marquis Mavens, who possessed the empire's largest granary, was part of Recep's faction. So, although Recep currently lacked military might, he had abundant financial resources. If these two joined forces, they could solve each other's problems of troops and provisions. Therefore, Recep had always wanted to bring the Kidres into his camp. However, Kana wouldn't let them join forces. The Kidres were her strongest card to help her escape from this place. So, Kana pulled Recep away, all smiles and chatter. Elsewhere, Lydia found her father. She learned that the incident where she burned Kana had been smoothed over by the attendant, Gino Mavens. She then asked her father when she would finally become the crown princess. However, her father hesitated to answer. Gino wouldn't neglect his own sister to help Lydia. Lydia began to sob. "The princess has been strange lately. She hasn't gone out or held any parties. And His Highness, the crown prince, dotes on her." These words caused her father's expression to change drastically. "Her Highness has become increasingly suspicious lately. You must pay more attention to her in the future. Also, find some maids and have them inspect the tributes." What to do with so much money? As a princess rolling in wealth, the one thing Kana didn't lack was money. The reason she wasn't holding parties was to leave her maids with nothing to do. After all, plotting always requires time. According to Bella, the maids seemed to be searching for something lately. Kana instructed Bella to bring her the cookies she had made. However, just as she finished speaking, Annie arrived with a plate of cookies. Annie gave the cookies to Bella and withdrew. Bella looked closely, and her eyes widened in shock. What are those maids doing? These are nut cookies. Don't they know the princess is allergic to nuts? How could they bring these without even checking? Hearing the commotion outside, Kana asked what was happening. Bella was about to go and exchange the cookies, but Kana stopped her. No need to change them. I'll eat these. I know that if I eat these nut cookies, I might go into shock and collapse. That's precisely what I want. Bella was stunned. What was the princess saying? Why would she deliberately eat the nut cookies? And so Kana's plan began. She would send Bella to deliver refreshments to Recep. Therefore, Bella was unaware that Kana's refreshments contained nut cookies. And Kana, trusting her maids, ate the cookies without a second thought. She collapsed alone in her room. Annie discovered Kana in time and fetched the royal physician. She then reported the incident to their father, the emperor, and to Recep. Bella, the princess's most trusted maid, was unaware of any of these events. After examining Kana, the royal physician breathed a sigh of relief. What are these maids doing? Fortunately, the princess didn't eat much. She'll recover quickly. Otherwise, their lives wouldn't be spared. A nut allergy is a serious matter. They must be more careful in the future. A moment of carelessness could cost someone their life. Recep dismissed the physician and looked at Kana. Then he turned and asked, "Didn't you check beforehand? Didn't you check if there was anything wrong with the refreshments the princess ate?" I can understand not knowing that nut cookies were mixed in, but when the princess collapsed, why wasn't there a single maid around? Where were you all? Why aren't you answering my question? Why wasn't anyone attending to the princess? Speaking of which, I suddenly remembered something. Something similar happened in the royal family before. Someone once used a nut allergy to murder the princess's mother, Her Majesty the Queen. The man before them, enraged for his sister, had not long ago regarded her as a mere puppet. Now, he was clearly moved by familial affection. Recep abruptly drew his sword, his voice sharp as he questioned the maids. Terrified, the maids pleaded for mercy. One hastily shifted the blame. "It was Lydia. She said Princess Kana has been acting strangely lately and ordered us to investigate the tributes. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have left our posts without permission. She even threatened us, saying if we didn't go, she'd make us pay." Lydia's eyes widened. She hadn't expected to be betrayed so quickly. She couldn't be dragged down by these fools. Lydia defended herself. "Your Highness, please don't believe their one-sided story. This is a conspiracy. Someone must have sent spies to weaken your influence." Recep pressed the blade of his sword against Lydia's throat. "Are you playing me for a fool, or are you the spy?" Lydia trembled. "How could the Benzman family be spies? Please, you must believe me." Recep's gaze grew colder. "Didn't I tell you to know your place?" At that critical moment, the emperor arrived. Everyone knelt. Recep glanced at his father. The situation no longer allowed for his outburst. He threw his sword to the ground and knelt on one knee. The emperor, however, glanced at the discarded weapon and spoke with chilling indifference. "Incompetent fool." Lud relayed the command. "Flog all the maids here, then banish them from the palace. They are never to set foot in the capital again. As for this maid," he gestured to Bella, "she is diligent. Kana trusts her. You will manage the princess's household for the time being. I will select new maids for the princess." The emperor reflected on recent events. Unfortunate incidents seemed to plague Kana lately, from being poisoned, then scalded by a maid, and now collapsing from an allergic reaction. Fortunately, she had escaped harm each time. The emperor knew full well that the one who had poisoned Kana was Recep. The emperor spoke with veiled meaning. "Did you really think I knew nothing because I remained silent?" He turned to Recep. "Prince Recep, by my order, you are confined to the ancestral manor. Until you recognize your errors, you are forbidden to leave." The word struck like a thunderbolt. Although Recep wasn't responsible for this incident, he was guilty of the previous poisoning. After everyone left, Kana slowly opened her eyes. "Bella, you did well. Poisoned by her own brother, and yet she knelt for 3 hours pleading for his sake. Is this woman mad?" A short while ago, after the emperor and his entourage departed, Kana had awakened. Her success this time was due to Bella's assistance. Kana spoke softly. "I know your family supports Recep. Your service to me doesn't mean you've betrayed him or your family. On the contrary, you've helped Recep, because I intend to help him ascend to the throne. Recep isn't perceptive. No matter how diligently you serve him, he won't elevate your family's standing. Granting you a noble title is even less likely. Bella, I know you desire a title. I've heard your family wants to sell you off to a wealthy wastrel. That's why you ran away. And that same wastrel wants to take your sisters as concubines. That's why you want a title. To save your sisters. I assure you, I can give you everything you desire. Poor Bella, only 25, carried the burden of saving herself and her sisters. To change her fate, she had resolutely come to the palace. She and Cana, trapped and manipulated within the palace walls, were much alike. Cana understood their difficult circumstances better than anyone, and so Cana would protect Bella. Cana's voice was gentle. Bella, you've worked hard. Tears streamed down Bella's face. She swore her loyalty to Cana. With this matter settled, Cana moved on to her next plan. She asked Bella to bring her plainest, most threadbare dress. This led to the scene at the beginning, where the maids watched Cana kneeling and pleading for Rejep. Stunned by the news of Rejep's confinement after awakening, Princess Cana immediately sought an audience with the emperor. She wore a simple, almost shabby dress, a stark contrast to the usual finery of the imperial princess. In the palace, the emperor inquired how long Cana had been kneeling. Lude, an attendant, reported it had been 3 hours already. The royal physician warned that this could lead to serious consequences. Just then, a servant announced the arrival of nobles who supported Prince Rejep, seeking an audience. The emperor grumbled about their opportunistic nature, climbing any ladder offered, but nevertheless granted them entry. Gino Mavens, leading the group, pleaded, "Your Majesty, please understand Princess Cana's heartfelt concern and forgive Prince Rejep." Cana observed, thinking how two-faced this man truly was. In her past life, he had been utterly indifferent to his daughter, cold and distant. Now, in this life, he was pleading for his precious son, confined for her sake. As the nobles continued to intercede for Rejep, the emperor's anger flared. "Do you have any right to speak such words? Do you know how much the princess has suffered?" Gino defended Rejep, saying, "Prince Rejep failed to control his servants, leading to this disaster. This is indeed his fault, but this punishment is too severe, Your Majesty. Please reconsider." The emperor's brow furrowed. Powerful nobles were applying collective pressure. Though he was the emperor, he couldn't ignore their voices. After all, the imperial family's power relied on the nobility's support. Did they truly believe his power was waning, that he was no longer a force to be reckoned with? Amidst this tense standoff, Lude interrupted, reporting that Cana had fainted and the royal physician was attending to her. Gino felt a wave of relief. This was his chance to press the emperor again. The nobles below murmured amongst themselves, pleased by this turn of events. The princess had inadvertently helped their cause. They had been worried about Rejep's indefinite confinement, but now an unexpected opportunity had presented itself. Gino, however, was contemplative. Had the princess truly done this to help Rejep? The nut allergy incident had allowed her to effortlessly replace all the maids in the princess's residence. Rejep's informants had been completely removed. Rejep himself was confined by the emperor. Only Cana had emerged unscathed. Gino had a growing suspicion that they had all been manipulated. Perhaps the nut cookie incident had been orchestrated by Cana herself, but she had created the opportunity to plead for Rejep. Regardless of her intentions, he would seize this chance. Gino renewed his plea for Rejep, and the other nobles echoed his sentiments. The emperor, weary of the pressure, found the previously rigid situation softened by Cana's collapse. For her sake, he decided to reduce Rejep's confinement to 10 days. In her room, Bella anxiously inquired about Cana's well-being. Cana admitted she had merely knelt too long, causing her legs to cramp. She hadn't expected everyone to believe she had fainted. She looked at Bella gratefully. "Thank you. Thanks to you," Cana continued, "I successfully passed Father's test. In her past life, she had been a naive princess. Now, she was a master strategist. With a single, small scheme, she had managed to confine her brother for 10 days and even gained authority over the imperial palace. Just moments ago, Cana had confided in Bella, revealing her certainty of passing the emperor's test. Indefinite confinement means disinheritance. Knowing Father's character, if he truly wanted to disinherit Rejep, he wouldn't have confined him. He would have directly stripped him of his princely title. From the beginning, he intended to confine Rejep for 10 days. This was a test for me. He was observing how I would handle the situation, and the results of that test are about to be revealed. As if on cue, Lude opened the door. Princess Kaina, an imperial decree. He announced formally. Kaina, first princess of the Paya Empire, hear the decree. Due to the incident with the nut cookies, the first prince, Recep, has been confined and is unable to continue managing the palace maids. Therefore, Kaina shall temporarily assume these responsibilities. After Kaina accepted the decree, the entourage withdrew. Bella was overjoyed. Princess Kaina, you now have authority over the palace maids. His Majesty is announcing to everyone that he approves of your administrative abilities. Although temporary, this was the first time Kaina had held any real power. This authority, symbolized by a key, had always been held by the Empress. Kaina's mother, the late Empress, had once possessed it. From a powerless princess, manipulated by others, to holding this key and wielding authority, Kaina's journey had been long and arduous. But this was only the beginning. She wouldn't stop here, so she cautioned Bella against celebrating too soon. There was still much to be done. The first thing on the agenda? Officially promoting Olivia to the position of maid in the princess's household. The Grace family had refused Recep's order to send a maid to the palace. They didn't want to be seen as aligning themselves with the crown prince's faction. However, if the order came from Kaina, they would have no choice but to obey. Firstly, because the emperor himself had decreed that Kaina was to manage the palace maids. Secondly, obeying Kaina's command wouldn't implicate the Grace family as being part of the crown prince's faction. Even for the sake of family honor, Olivia would have to enter the princess's service. Olivia was the female protagonist of the novel Kaina Remembered, and a powerful card in her hand. Simultaneously, she was a pitiable figure, unprotected by anyone. If Kaina wanted to protect Olivia, she had to bring her into the fold. Had anyone ever seen such a brilliantly cunning princess, disguised as a delicate flower? With a few subtle maneuvers, she had gained supreme authority over the palace maids. She had even managed to make the novel's heroine her personal maid, intending to use her as a trump card in the future. Besides securing Olivia, there was another important matter to attend to. Although somewhat underhanded, if successful, it would yield significant benefits. It was the art of sowing discord. Kaina looked at the guards with an innocent expression. I'm a little worried about Recep, she said. I wanted to visit him. Could I see him, please? The guards immediately flushed. The princess looked so pitiful. Perhaps they should let her in. Gino inwardly cursed their stupidity. It seemed he would have to handle this himself. He politely refused Kaina's request. Kaina continued to feign concern. Is Recep truly all right? I'm so worried about him. I just wanted to see him. Gino internally seethed at Kaina's hypocrisy, but maintained a courteous facade. He absolutely couldn't allow Kaina to see Recep. This whole situation, the authority over the maids, it was all orchestrated. It was certainly no accident. And yet, she had the audacity to put on this concerned act. Kaina adopted a troubled expression. I understand, she said. I wasn't thinking clearly. I apologize for the trouble. Seeing the seemingly wounded princess, the guards immediately turned their ire on Gino. Couldn't he have been more tactful? Did he want the princess to dislike them? Just then, Kaina spoke again. Lord Gino, she said, I was hoping you could tell me how Recep is doing on my way back. Would you escort me back to the princess's residence? Gino couldn't refuse such a request. He had no choice but to agree. Along the way, Kaina feigned self-reproach. You've all worked so hard, she said. If I'd been more careful, perhaps you wouldn't have been dismissed. Gino scoffed internally. Even now, Kaina continued her charade. Then, Kaina spoke again. I've been meaning to ask your opinion, she said. I'd like your sister, Julia, to become a maid in the palace. What are your thoughts? Gino was taken aback. What was this? She dismissed Recep's people and now intended to install his own family member in their place. It was a tempting offer. If his sister became a maid, she would have frequent contact with Recep. It would be a perfect opportunity to cultivate a relationship. But what was Kaina's game? Why would she give his sister such a chance? Gino couldn't see through her motives. Who would believe that this princess, once a pawn in the hands of men, now held them all in the palm of her hand? Gino found her increasingly unreadable. Just then, Kaina inquired, By the way, you're unmarried, aren't you? The second son of the Mavens family, with their vast granaries, and yet no fiancé. Are your standards too high, or are you hoping to leverage marriage for gain? Gino replied that he wasn't interested in such things. Kaina futked softly. Then, will the position of prince consort interest you? Gino was stunned. He never imagined the possibility of becoming prince consort. He hadn't considered marrying this foolish princess before. But things are different now. She was shrewd and calculating, a valuable ally. If he married the princess, he wouldn't have to grovel at Recep's feet any longer. He would accept this challenge, because in the end, he would be the victor. Without hesitation, Gino expressed his interest in the position of prince consort. Proud and arrogant men were the easiest to manipulate. Gino was playing right into her hands. Julia, Olivia, and Bella. For now, she had 3 maids in total. To give the maids more authority, Cana mused, I must streamline their ranks. Palace maid duties are divided into 4 categories. First, managing the conduct and duties of the palace maids and punishing any transgressions. This position is crucial, and Bella is the perfect fit. Second, attending to guests, organizing banquets, and handling external affairs. Olivia's sharp perception makes her ideal for this role. The remaining 2 are managing food and medicine and overseeing clothing and finances. I've already found suitable candidates for these, Julia and Susan. Bella looked shocked. Julia, the pampered only daughter of the Maven's family, and Susan, with her sharp tongue and difficult personality. Of course I'm aware of that, Cana acknowledged calmly. Her reason for choosing Susan stemmed from the novel. Susan and Olivia were close friends. She then instructed Bella to bring her writing materials. This time, her letter wasn't for Olivia, but for someone she deeply missed, her nursemaid, Chloe. A ruthless young woman, capable of decisive and even cruel actions, could still possess such tenderness. A faint smile played on Cana's lips as her pen flowed across the paper. Dearest Chloe, she wrote, I hope this letter finds you well. 10 years have passed. Every year at this time, I'm reminded of the time we spent together. I remember when we were in the kitchen making apple pie, and we made such a mess. Not only did I burn the pie, she continued, a hint of amusement in her tone, but I almost set the kitchen on fire, and I was always getting my pretty dresses dirty. But you were always so patient and comforting. The memories remained vivid in her mind. I've recently started baking again, she wrote, and everyone praises my desserts. I owe my skill to your patient guidance. Chloe, my coming-of-age ceremony is approaching. Although Father has lifted your banishment, I won't force you to return to the palace if you're unwilling. I miss you dearly, but I'll respect your decision. I miss you, my second mother, she finished. I eagerly await your reply. Cana. It had been a long time since she felt such longing for someone. She hoped Chloe could feel the sincerity in her words. The letter complete, she turned to her final task for the day. Cana was going to a place that would help chart the course of her life. In the library, Bella was puzzled. Your final task is to read travelogues in the royal library? Princess, your time is so precious. You should be meeting with nobles, building your influence. But Cana had her reasons. I'm now in charge of palace-maid affairs, so the nobles will be watching my every move. They'll be curious about my visit to the library. They'll likely assume I'm researching strategies for managing the maids. But they'll discover I'm simply browsing travelogues. They'll think they were overthinking it. I need to divert their attention. The more they underestimate me, the better. Bella's eyes widened in understanding. I see. But Cana had another motive, to find a suitable place to live outside the palace walls. While the emperor still lived, Cana wanted him to change the territory she was to inherit. Her designated lands were all in the east. The east has the Maven's family, so that won't do. The west has the Kidray family, which is also unsuitable. She needed to be far from the powerful nobles of the capital. If I'm to marry and live with my intended husband, she thought, I need a place I can fully control. A sturdy, well-maintained house, preferably with a small garden for herbs and vegetables. A quiet, comfortable environment. Near the sea or a lake would be ideal. Cana longed to escape the prison-like palace. Since her rebirth, she had been ruthless, crushing those who had wronged her. Yet, when she saw the man before her, a tremor ran through her. A short while ago, while reading, she had attracted unwanted attention. A group of young men crowded at the doorway, whispering amongst themselves. The princess is in the library? Impossible. Let me see her legendary beauty. Cana, flustered, thought, perhaps I should return to my reading. As Cana walked, she marveled at the beautiful weather. Life in the palace. If only it could always be this peaceful and serene, she thought. If only Chloe could return. Cana was quite content to remain in the palace a while longer, savoring this period of tranquility. Just then, a man's voice called out, Your Highness. It's been a while. In that instant, Cana felt a chilling dread, as if a demon whispered in her ear, reminding her that no matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't escape the cruel hand of fate. She hadn't felt this terrified since her rebirth. She stumbled backward, step by agonizing step. The man advanced, his words a venomous caress. "I've missed you. I've nearly gone mad thinking of you." He was Jillian, her husband from her first life, the man she had ultimately killed after enduring his prolonged imprisonment and relentless abuse. How could she ever forget that horrific past? The memories flooded back, the daily beatings that left her bruised and broken, forcing her to hide her injuries beneath long sleeves. The countless letters she had written to Recep, pleading for rescue, all of which had vanished into the void. To escape Jillian's watchful eye, she had hidden in the shadows of the dark castle. Clinging to a sliver of hope, she had written to Ivan, only to have Jillian discover her desperate plea. "You foolish girl," Jillian had sneered. "Still dreaming of that man? Ivan won't come to save you. You wretched woman, how dare you try to leave me?" The letter had fallen into Jillian's hands, and in his rage, he had killed her. Kana gasped, pulling herself back to the present. She had to stay calm. This hadn't happened yet. Not this time. Composing herself, she offered a polite smile. "You must be Lord Jillian. Didn't we dance together at the last banquet?" Jillian beamed. "So, the princess remembers me. It seems we are destined to be together. Kana thringed in mardi. Please, don't flatter me. I simply remembered your name out of courtesy." His smile faltered, his expression darkening. His voice took on a disturbingly fervent tone. "But we danced 2 dances, Your Highness. You wore a beautiful blue gown. You were breathtaking." He reached for her hand. "I must be someone special in your eyes, am I not? Even reborn as a cold-hearted villainess." She couldn't shake the trauma of her past. Faced with Jillian's obsessive gaze, a wave of fear washed over her. Her heart pounded in her chest. She should have run. Just then, a hand grasped Jillian's, pulling him away. Kana found herself drawn into a protective embrace. It was Ivan. She stared at him, a strange sense of peace settling over her, though her body still trembled uncontrollably. Ivan frowned, puzzled by her trembling. Sensing something amiss, he glared at Jillian. "What do you think you're doing?" Knowing better than to provoke Ivan, Jillian offered a strained smile. "I was merely escorting the princess. I saw her stumble and wanted to offer assistance." Kana knew that denying his claim would only lead to further complications. It was better to placate him and send him on his way. Reluctantly, she corroborated his story. Jillian smirked. "A pity I can't escort you further, Your Highness. Until next time." Only after he left did Kana fully realize she was still nestled in Ivan's arms. She quickly pulled away, apologizing profusely. Then, she asked why he was there. Ivan explained he had been attending to matters near the library and had decided to try his luck, hoping to encounter her. After all, she had declined his request for an audience no less than 10 times. "I've heard there's been quite a bit of upheaval in the palace recently," he added. Kana averted her gaze. She had intended to break off their engagement and then meet with him, but unforeseen circumstances had intervened. She offered a weak smile. "I imagine you have many questions. I happen to have some time now." Ivan shook his head. "Perhaps another time, Your Highness. You look like you need a rest." He observed her trembling form and pale complexion. In that moment, a fierce desire to be her protector surged within him. He extended his hand. "You must invite me for tea sometime, Your Highness." Another peculiar thought struck him. Her touch hadn't repulsed him. The lifelong bachelor, 23 years untouched, stared at his hand in bewilderment. He suffered from mysophobia, a revulsion to physical contact. Yet, contact with Kana didn't evoke the slightest discomfort. He carefully replayed the recent scene in his mind. After being rejected more than 10 times, Ivan had once again invited Kana for tea. This time, she hadn't refused. Ivan, a blush warming his cheeks, had suggested, "You told me how to make that milk tea. I've tried so many times, but I can't seem to get the flavor right. Could you perhaps make me another cup sometime?" Kana had chuckled, promising to prepare a proper afternoon tea. And so, Ivan had finally secured a date with the princess. Snapping back to the present, Ivan puzzled over his mysophobia. Could it be cured? Impossible. He summoned his subordinate, BAS. Alone in the study, Ivan made a strange request. He asked BAS to hold his hand, but the moment their fingers brushed, Ivan recoiled in disgust. The familiar wave of nausea washed over him. He rubbed his temples, a headache brewing. "The princess doesn't seem to like being touched either," he muttered. But strangely, he continued, thinking aloud, when Recep escorted her back to her chambers, she seemed perfectly normal. She can't truly detest all physical contact. And just now, when we embraced, she didn't seem repulsed. A thought struck him. Perhaps Ivan mused. Kaina is merely being considerate of my feelings. Could she know about my misophobia? No, that's absurd. He dismissed the idea. After all, even the knights who had protected him since childhood were unaware of his affliction. Suddenly, a question formed on his lips. Jeremy, do you know anything about Jillian? Jeremy paused, considering. Do you mean the eldest son of Viscount Jillian? About 2 months ago, after dancing with Princess Kaina at the banquet, he broke off his engagement. For a while, rumors circulated that he had fallen for the princess. The Jillian family, though vassals of the Kidray family, have never sat well with me, Ivan admitted. Bayes chimed in. I've heard Jillian himself has a rather unsavory reputation. Ivan found it perplexing. Why had Kaina been so terrified of Jillian? He remembered her bloodless face, her trembling form. But the moment she saw me, he recalled, her expression shifted instantly from terror to relief. The image was etched into his memory. The fragile princess, once trampled beneath a man's heel, was now plotting how to dispose of her tormentor. This Kaina wanted nothing to do with Jillian. Eliminating him, however, would only benefit Recep and Lissy. The Jillian family, vassals of the Kidries, controlled a significant portion of the Empire's warhorses. If she wanted to cooperate with Ivan, she couldn't touch Jillian. And, most importantly, she couldn't afford to be disliked. Why had she felt such a surge of relief at the sight of him? She had never experienced such a feeling before. Kaina tried to convince herself it was simply gratitude for his intervention. She didn't want to burden him with anything else. All she wanted was to leave the palace, to live out her days in the quiet countryside. She had to get away from Recep, and Recep, at this moment, was like a roused beast. Kaina's actions, confining him, replacing his attendants, seizing control of the palace maids, were all part of her plan. Recep's power was dwindling, or, more accurately, Kaina was steadily stripping him of it. Logically, Kaina should have found this power burdensome and relinquished it to Recep, but she hadn't. She clung to it tightly. This wasn't like her. Recep could tolerate all of this. Kaina was his sister, the single ray of sunlight in the gloomy palace. As long as she remained by his side, he thought all was well. But the scent of Kaina clinging to Gino, the feeling of power slipping through his fingers like sand, and her chance encounter with Ivan in the library, it all clicked into place for Recep. Had she been planning to stab him in the back all along, waiting for him to lower his guard? As for Ivan, while marrying Kaina would certainly strengthen their alliance, it would also remove her from Recep's influence. Recep couldn't stand the thought of his people being taken away like this. He slowly began, Sister, are you trying to get rid of me? Kaina feigned ignorance. I don't know what rumors you've heard, but you must believe me. Recep pressed. Is marriage truly all you want? Is that why you met with Ivan today? Kaina insisted their encounter was purely coincidental. Recep's composure began to unravel. I knew you'd say it was a coincidence. This was all part of your plan, wasn't it? Just like how you drove all my people out of the palace. The man before her was like a wild beast on the verge of a rampage. He roared at the woman before him, but Kaina simply watched with an unsettling calmness. In her past life, she had sent numerous letters begging Recep for help, but they had all vanished into the void. However, that was a lifetime ago, and Kaina no longer cared. They had both suffered so much, yet they couldn't change their circumstances. If they weren't the villainous siblings cursed by fate, just a brother and sister with difficult personalities, would their ending have been different? But in this life, redemption was within their grasp. Recep, in a fit of madness, seized Kaina's throat. I don't like anyone challenging my authority. Anyone who poses a threat to me will be eliminated. After all, your life is in my hands, sister. I am the next emperor. Kaina met his rage with a fearless smile. Fine, then kill me. I know you can take my life at any moment. She then boldly grasped Recep's hand. Recep recoiled in shock. Are you insane? Kaina countered. Can you calm down and listen to me now? I haven't betrayed you. You are a prince. You can't manage the palace maids forever. Although you've lost some power now, you will soon gain new authority. Besides, the authority over the palace maids never belonged to a prince. It was just a smokescreen father used because he didn't want to give you full power. You know this, don't you? Recep clenched his fists. Are you saying this is an opportunity for me? That I should seize it? Kaina nodded. An excellent opportunity. I told you I would help you ascend the throne. If you want new power, I can help you. First, after your confinement is lifted, seek father's forgiveness. After all, your new authority must be granted by father. If you see his mood improve, then say this. Kano whispered a name into Recep's ear, Caitlin Lindbergh. The reason the emperor agreed to give Rishi, that scoundrel, the right to inherit the throne is because of this mistress, whom the emperor adores. Kana instructed Recep, what you need to do is make her my grandfather, Count Hamel's, adopted daughter, and protect her from Rishi and other factions. Who would have thought that the princess who was once trampled underfoot in her past life would now have her brother dancing like a puppet on her strings? Kana laid out her plan to Recep. They needed to protect Caitlin. Decades ago, the emperor, in his prime, had met Caitlin at the royal hunting grounds. Captivated by her beauty, the emperor had fallen in love at first sight. But her father, the head of the Lindbergh family, had been murdered by Rishi, his death disguised as an accident. Since then, the family had fallen completely under Rishi's control, and Caitlin was in constant danger of being reduced to a commoner. Therefore, despite his current illness, the emperor was still determined to protect his beloved Caitlin. Recep expressed his doubts. Will they agree? Kana was certain. They absolutely will, because compared to angering Recep and losing their black market revenue, adopting Caitlin will bring them far greater benefits. They can also use her to control the emperor or other factions. Recep questioned. That woman has a son with father. Their child could also become the heir to the throne. Do you want me to pave the way for someone else? Kana knew Caitlin well. Caitlin desires a stable life for her son more than she craves power. Besides, her son is only 13. He's young, and his maternal family isn't powerful enough. The various factions won't take him seriously. Rishi wouldn't want another competitor for the throne either. So he won't allow Caitlin's son to have the right of succession. And Recep, you know that father's most beloved child is neither you nor me, but Caitlin's son. Father, to protect that child, agreed to give the right of succession to that scoundrel, Rishi. It's a case of Gerbong Shangjung, Yung Dali, two dogs fighting over a bone, and a third runs off with it. We must use this opportunity wisely. It's our only way to survive. If you protect Caitlin Lindbergh, you'll not only gain father's approval, but also control a crucial hostage. Recep was utterly stunned. Could Kana truly have devised this plan on the spot? He didn't even have any informants. How had she managed this? In her past life, she had been the empire's most beautiful woman, but also its most useless ornament. Now, however, she was like a cunning strategist. Recep couldn't believe it. The airheaded older sister who had once done nothing but whine and cajole was now displaying such sharp intelligence. He felt as though Kana could perceive every movement and variable on the chessboard, and she commanded the entire game with an air of complete control. Only a born strategist could achieve such mastery. Kana didn't give Recep much time to dwell on this. She took his hand, looking at him tenderly. Have we resolved our misunderstanding? Seeing Kana like this, Recep's anger immediately dissipated. He hadn't realized the extent of her influence over him, but Kana's intelligence might one day pose a threat to him. The next day, Olivia gazed at the palace before her, awestruck. This palace would be her home from now on, and just as the princess had promised, the emperor had issued the decree. Olivia had come to familiarize herself with her new surroundings. Just then, someone approached her from behind. Excuse me, are you Miss Olivia? I'm Bella, a maid from the princess's residence. Olivia recognized her. Bella was the only senior maid who had remained after the mass replacement of the princess's staff. She was also Kana's confidant. Olivia curtsied and followed Bella on a tour of the princess's residence. Learning that there were only 4 maids currently employed, Olivia was shocked. Bella explained, although we have considerable authority, our responsibilities are also quite heavy. You'll primarily be in charge of receiving guests. Olivia was puzzled. Why had the princess entrusted her with such an important role? Lost in thought, Olivia was led by Bella to the princess's chambers. Feeling a flicker of nervousness, she asked Bella if there was anything she should be aware of. No need, Bella assured her. The princess understands you well. Olivia entered the room. The delicate fragrance within instantly calmed her nerves. Bathed in sunlight, the room was as beautiful as a painting, almost surreal. But the most unreal thing in the room was the breathtakingly beautiful princess herself. Facing the novel's heroine, Kana, the second female lead, showed no fear. Olivia, on the other hand, was so nervous she was sweating. She bowed respectfully to Kana, her every movement radiating grace. Did you arrive a day early? Kana inquired. Olivia nodded. I heard you had no maids attending you, Princess, so I entered the palace early. Kana walked towards her, step by step. You're clever. I like your answer. Bringing you into the palace was indeed a wise decision. Welcome to the princess's residence. Olivia was flattered. She hadn't expected to receive such attention from the princess. Kana studied Olivia. She had beautiful, flowing brown hair and vibrant green eyes. Not only was she intelligent and quick-witted, but also respectful, well-mannered, calm, and perceptive. This was the true protagonist of this world. How could such a person be the wrong choice? She had made enough foolish decisions in her past life. This time, she wouldn't allow herself to make another mistake. I imagine you were surprised when I suddenly asked you to become my maid, Kana said. I hope you can forget anything that made you unhappy before. Olivia quickly replied that it was her honor to serve the princess. Besides, the princess seemed quite different from what she had heard. The princess before her was noble, elegant, and spoke with natural grace. She was nothing like the rumors. Just then, Kana asked, You're 20 years old this year, aren't you? You must have already had your coming-of-age ceremony. Olivia explained that she hadn't had a coming-of-age ceremony. After all, her family's circumstances weren't very good. Kana smiled brightly. You can have your coming-of-age ceremony with me. This startled Olivia. That wouldn't be proper. Kana had her reasons. If she couldn't even manage this small matter, how could she be worthy of being a princess? A subordinate's honor was her honor. Now that Olivia was one of her people, she couldn't let Olivia have any regrets. Kana looked at Olivia sincerely. So, just consider it a favor to me. Please don't refuse. Olivia was speechless. Kana's naturally regal air and demeanor, wielding power yet harboring kindness. She was truly royalty. This was her new master, Princess Kana. Just then, Bella announced Ivan's arrival. Although Kana wanted to give the two of them some time alone, it wouldn't be appropriate since Olivia had just arrived at the palace. Kana had no choice but to meet Ivan herself. Ivan looked at Kana. The last time we met, you said you would answer my question, Princess. I'd like to hear your answer today. Kana knew Ivan must have many questions, but there was plenty of time today, so there was no need to rush. In preparation for Ivan's visit, Kana had personally brewed tea today. It was the milk tea that Ivan enjoyed. Ivan carefully picked up the cup. The warmth seeped through the porcelain and into his palm. The faint aroma of black tea lingered in the air. Ivan found it strange. They used the same tea leaves and the same brewing method. Yet the tea Kana made tasted so different from the tea his servant prepared. Could it be that the person brewing the tea made the difference? Seeing Ivan's silence, Kana asked with a smile, Is it not to your liking? Ivan shook his head. The tea brewed by the princess herself is indeed delicious. Kana covered her mouth and laughed. Master Ivan has learned to flatter. But let's get down to business. You must have many questions. Let's start with your marriage. Have you investigated your prospective bride? Ivan nodded. He had discreetly made inquiries and discovered that Count Evan's family was indeed deeply in debt and about to be absorbed by the Rishi family. As for Lady Rita, everyone in her family knew she suffered from seizures. Ivan was curious how Kana knew these things, but later he gradually heard other rumors. Kana, due to her allergies, had caused an uproar in the palace, expelled all the commoners, and ultimately gained temporary authority over the palace maids. So, Ivan decided to put aside the matter of his marriage for now. He was more curious about Princess Kana. What are you planning? Regarding this question, Kana offered no comment. However, if Ivan agreed to cooperate with her, she would tell him everything. Kana looked at Ivan. If you have any reservations, you can refuse me now. Because once you know the truth, there's no turning back. No matter what you desire, no matter how difficult it is to obtain, I swear on the name of Kana, I will do everything in my power to help you. In return, you must help me obtain what I desire. So what do you say? Do you want to be my partner? She was the Empire's most beautiful, ornamental princess, yet hidden beneath her sweet, innocent exterior lay a vast ambition. Faced with Kana's offer of partnership, Ivan felt as though she could foresee the future. Her unwavering resolve and lack of regret for her choices made the title of princess seem as if it were created just for her. Yet, at the same time, she was a delicate, fragile woman who evoked a protective instinct. What had he been thinking when he held her delicate frame in his arms before? This fragile, yet strong Kana. Ivan wanted to protect her. Without hesitation, he knelt. Kissing the back of Kana's hand, he pledged his unwavering support. Kana curtsied politely. Then I'll be counting on you, my partner. Choosing to trust me must have been a difficult decision, but you still accepted my proposal. Thank you, Master Ivan. However, Ivan replied that the decision wasn't difficult at all. Kana had already done much to earn his trust, and he had seen it all. He believed that Kana wouldn't make the wrong choice. These words struck a chord within Kana. She had made wrong choices before. She had regretted them. Yet, it was those past experiences that had shaped the Kana of today. She would not allow herself to have regrets again. Kalina began, her voice carefully measured. On the surface, we're partners. But in reality, I won't be consulting with you or revealing all my plans. Because if my true intentions are revealed, it will put us both in danger. While I propose this partnership, I'm not really a suitable partner. You'll undoubtedly encounter many things you don't understand in the future. Even so, will you still trust me? Kalina's words were cut short. It's all right. I trust you. Although I don't understand why, I believe you wouldn't do anything to harm me. I will remain by your side with my trust in you. It was Alvin speaking. Alvin took Kalina's hand. The touch of another person, like insects crawling on his skin, made him shudder. The sensation filled him with nausea, a constant torment. Alvin had tried to endure it, had even tried medication, but the symptoms never lessened. Yet, inexplicably, in Kalina's presence, the sickening feeling melted away like snow in the sun. With utter sincerity, Alvin declared, "Your Highness, I won't regret choosing you." He added, a touch of anxiety in his voice, "What should I do? The Duke is being so forward." Kalina blushed, a surprising flush creeping up her cheeks. Now isn't the time for such sentiments, she thought, quickly withdrawing her hand. It's truly an honor that you trust me so much, Your Grace. Kalina suddenly felt a pang of regret. Had she said too much? She quickly changed the subject. We were discussing the matter of breaking off your engagement, weren't we? Have you confirmed with the other families? I'll arrange for you to meet Miss Olivia as soon as possible. She just arrived at the mansion today. However, it was a bit last minute, so I didn't have her come along. She's a very intelligent and kind young lady. I'm sure you'll like Miss Olivia very much. Alvin hesitated for a moment before speaking. Your Highness, I have a question. Why do you keep mentioning Miss Olivia in my presence? It was the same the last time we spoke about my engagement in the garden. This kind of situation isn't unfamiliar to me. In fact, it's so familiar it's become tiresome. Alvin clenched his fists. It feels like you're very fond of Miss Olivia, hoping for a good outcome for her and me. Why are you doing this? Alvin pressed. Your Highness, every time you see me, you bring up Miss Olivia. Kalina froze. I'm sorry. Did I make you uncomfortable? Her words left Alvin speechless. He turned abruptly and hurried away. Alvin couldn't believe he felt uncomfortable, even upset. He was actually experiencing these emotions. Meanwhile, Kalina was left bewildered. What just happened? In the following days, Alvin sent Kalina a steady stream of letters. Kalina was getting a headache. How many letters was this now? Bella hesitated before speaking. Your Highness, if Lord Kidre has feelings for you, what do you intend to do? After all, ever since your last meeting, Lord Kidre has been sending you letters. If this gets out, it's sure to cause a scandal in society. Kalina couldn't understand Alvin's behavior either. She was utterly perplexed. He just ran off like that. It's the first time I've seen Alvin react so strongly. Perhaps he feels apologetic, and that's why he keeps sending letters of apology. I didn't realize he was so averse to discussing Olivia. I just wanted them to have a happy ending. After all, they're the official couple in the novel. There's no room for me to interfere. They're the novel's OTP. The male lead has fallen for the second female lead, and I'm actually having thoughts of interfering. Realizing this, Kalina was startled. She slapped her cheeks, trying to snap herself out of it. What was she thinking? She told herself to focus. There was still so much to do. Watching Kalina force a smile, Bella noticed how tired the princess seemed lately. She decided to have the central kitchen prepare some nourishing meals. On the way, Bella ran into Annie, who didn't understand Bella's concern. Bella, however, was serious. We must carefully inspect all the food the princess consumes. We are her personal maids. The princess fainted last time due to a nut allergy. We have to be even more cautious. Bella, despite her incessant chatter, had a plan. She needed to investigate a few more people. The head chef of the central kitchen, who always shooed her away whenever she stepped foot inside, and the head maid, Lady Hillier, who who had been at odds with the princess's household ever since they took charge. Lady Hillier, and especially the head chef, were definitely hiding something. Just then, Lady Hillier, never one to miss an opportunity for confrontation, spotted Bella. "Where do you think you're going? What are you two outsiders doing trying to enter the kitchen?" The kitchen is a sacred place in the palace, under the strictest management. The kitchen staff have been constantly complaining because you're always barging in without authorization. Bella felt like the woman was deliberately picking a fight. But as the princess's sole senior maid, she couldn't afford to lose face and embarrass the princess. Bella retorted, her voice raised, "Inspecting the princess's meals is a maid's duty. How is that overstepping my authority? You should be well aware of this. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with my actions. This woman is always trying to find fault with others. It's strange. Are they trying to control the princess?" Bella wondered. She continued, "Her Highness recently fainted due to a nut allergy, so I must strictly inspect her meals." This gave Hillier an opening. A maid accidentally served the princess nut cookies, causing her allergic reaction and fainting. If you want to get technical, the biggest fault lies not with the kitchen, but with the maids. Isn't that right? Only 4 maids were selected for the entire princess's household. I was expecting such highly capable maids. Seeing you today, I'm rather unimpressed. Hillier's words stung, leaving Bella speechless with anger. Back in her room, Bella knew that continuing to be meek and submissive would only invite further contempt. She had learned one crucial survival lesson in the palace. Only those with value were allowed to thrive. Otherwise, they would be easily discarded. The princess was her only lifeline. She had to be useful. She needed an ally, and Olivia, with her sharp mind, keen observation skills, competence, and calm demeanor, was the perfect candidate. These 2 maids are so audacious, disguising themselves and trying to sneak into the central kitchen, Olivia said, apprehensive. "Are you sure this plan will work?" Bella reassured her. "There's definitely something hidden in the central kitchen storage room. Even if it's full of expensive ingredients, it doesn't justify having so many guards posted there every day. Especially the head chef. He's the most suspicious. He yells and chases away any maid who lingers there. He's most likely embezzling." Meanwhile, the head chef sighed as he looked over the ledger. "They skimmed off so little this month, but it's better than getting caught. I bribed Hillier, but I still don't trust that woman." Just then, Olivia arrived. "Excuse me, I'm trying to get to the princess's quarters. Could you point me in the right direction?" The head chef sized Olivia up. She probably won't rummage through the kitchen like that other maid did, will she? He had been terrified that his embezzlement ledger would be discovered. This maid seems docile. She's different from the last one. Not only is she beautiful and well-figured, but she also looks like a noble lady. Feigning kindness, the head chef engaged Olivia in conversation, completely unaware that Bella had already slipped inside. Bella thought she was about to succeed, but when she looked up, she was met with an infuriating sight. The head chef had grabbed Olivia's shoulder, telling her to be obedient and promising that he wouldn't mistreat her. He continued, "You must want to be a respected lady, right? The head chef's wife holds a considerable position in the palace. I'm offering you this opportunity because you're quite attractive." Bella couldn't stand it any longer. Slamming her hand on the table, she yelled, "What are you doing?" The head chef, his virtue act exposed, started to explain, but then recognized Bella. Wasn't she the maid he'd chased out of the kitchen before? This girl was truly audacious. He jabbed a finger at Bella's head. "Not only do you barge into the kitchen as you please, but now you're rummaging through the storage room? Do you think the kitchen belongs to the princess's household?" Bella knew she'd messed up, but she couldn't stand by and watch Olivia be harassed. The plan was ruined. What was she going to do? The princess trusted her so much. Bella wanted to repay that trust, but she'd botched it. Just then, alerted by the commotion, people began to gather. Someone urged the head chef to calm down, but he knew if he let them off the hook this time, they would surely sneak back in. He absolutely couldn't let them near the kitchen. If his embezzlement was discovered, he'd be ruined. This brazen woman before him had once been a fragile, bullied princess. Just now, the head chef had raised his hand, about to punish Bella with violence. But a slender hand caught his. Kaylina had arrived. She shielded the 2 behind her and spoke softly. "No wonder I felt uneasy. It's fortunate I arrived in time. A moment later, and my people would have been injured by you." The head chef froze. Damn it, how had the princess suddenly appeared? Bella asked. Your Highness, how did you know we were here? Kalina glanced at Bella. Bella, what foods am I unable to eat? Bella answered dutifully. Kalina smiled, satisfied. As expected of Bella, you know in detail. But strange. Today, the maid preparing my meal brought me a plate of grilled fish. Hours earlier, unfamiliar maids had arrived at the princess's mansion. Seeing Kalina's confusion, they explained. The head maid felt the princess's mansion was understaffed and specifically sent us to serve you. She also instructed us to take special care of your Highness. Kalina's face darkened. The head maid had ignored her orders and sent high-ranking maids to the mansion without permission. She must have thought having Recep's backing gave her the right to assert dominance. Looking at the grilled fish, Kalina told them to leave. However, the maids refused. This defiance enraged Kalina. Are you ignoring the princess's orders? I said leave. Intimidated by Kalina's authority, the maids scrambled out. After they left, Kalina received a message from Annie. The central kitchen. Is it because of that matter? What was coming has come. It's time to deal with them. This led to the scene that had just unfolded. Kalina walked towards the head chef. I was worried someone would again present me with food I cannot eat, so I instructed Bella to personally inspect the kitchen. Moreover, today's meal included fish. Did you order this? The head chef hastily explained that he hadn't chased the maids away, but merely worried about the kitchen tools harming them, so he'd asked them to leave on their own. Furthermore, the person responsible for presenting the meal today was Lady Hilliard's subordinate. Kalina retorted, Are you saying you knew nothing of this? The head chef seized the opportunity. I'm preoccupied with kitchen matters every day. As head chef, I've dedicated most of my life to this place. I've been diligent and dutiful. Kalina scoffed. Your confidence makes me even more curious. Bella, go and find Lady Hilliard. The princess, once disregarded by the servants, now radiated power and authority. As Bella left, she whispered to Kalina, the head chef seems to be hiding something. Kalina patted her shoulder reassuringly, indicating she already knew and to leave the matter to her. As the head chef was being led away, he glanced back at Kalina. The princess knew about the kitchen's affairs. He had only suspected, not reported anything. She hadn't seemed to be investigating the kitchen. How did she know? After he was gone, Kalina suggested a tour of the kitchen. The head chef gave a fawning smile and readily agreed. Inwardly, however, he scorned her. She'd merely gained authority over the maids. What was there to be arrogant about? Kalina bent down to inspect the ingredients, then praised the central kitchen for its freshness. However, Kalina lingered by a certain box. The head chef grew nervous. Your Highness, is there a problem? Kalina realized he had moved the evidence. This wasn't enough. She needed to catch him in the act or find concrete proof. But there was no need to rush. The real show was just beginning. Kalina straightened up, dismissing any concerns, and said she would leave dinner in his capable hands. The head chef breathed a sigh of relief. He'd almost thought he'd been discovered. Had Kalina suspected something? On the ledger, he'd recorded vast quantities of expensive ingredients, securing a hefty budget. But in reality, only the top layer was filled with premium goods. Beneath, it was all stones. After these crates were brought in, Lady Hilliard would act as a lookout while they were spirited away. After all, the royals, feasting on their expensive fare, cared nothing for the workings of the kitchen. If anyone questioned the high rate of discarded ingredients, he was to claim it was to maintain freshness. Lord Leisure had told him that. As for why Leisure had told him, it was because they had a deal. As the head chef of the royal palace, he was privy to much of the royals' affairs. Leisure had promised him a vast fortune. But in return, he had to inform Leisure of Kalina's every move, where she went, what she ate, and what she couldn't eat, simple details. The head chef was puzzled. Reporting this information isn't difficult, but what is your purpose in knowing these things? Would Grand Duke Heinrich believe it? A bastard son has gained the right to inherit the throne, and now he's spying on the Empire's only princess. The chef had dared to ask Leisure. Leisure had given a wicked smile. Because I'm cultivating my own power within the palace. Information is power and strength. The head chef remained confused. But why must you collaborate with Lady Hilliard? That woman is so demanding. Li Shi had explained, there are many maids in the palace. Only by joining forces with the head maid can we avoid suspicion. Furthermore, the head maid is Prince Rajep's person. We can monitor Rajep through her. She's the most suitable candidate. Oh, and before you go, take this. It will be of great help to you. The head chef nervously gnawed at his fingernails. Thankfully, he'd removed the stones ahead of time. The royals never cared about kitchen matters. Why was the princess suddenly taking an interest? Just then, a servant informed the head chef that the ingredient supplier had arrived. Panic seized him. The new crates, Your Highness, were full of stones. If the princess opened them, it would be a disaster. The head chef hastily ordered the merchant to be sent away. However, Kalina wouldn't allow it. The merchant has transported the goods from afar. How can we simply dismiss him? Bring him in. I wish to express my gratitude personally. Outside the palace, the merchant looked around anxiously, thinking he should just unload quickly and move on to his next delivery. The central warehouse was usually only occupied by the head chef. Why was it so bustling today? The next moment, Kalina appeared. Smiling, she explained that she had come to thank him and, incidentally, inspect the ingredients. The merchant, captivated by Kalina, was about to open a crate when he suddenly remembered. They were filled with stones. But the head chef had said the princess was foolish. Surely she wouldn't know the secret within the crates. Kalina added, "Please, let me see the receipt." They had no receipt. The merchant, now panicked, stammered an excuse. He claimed he'd been busy and forgotten to write one. Besides, they'd been trading with the royals for so long. There was mutual trust. The head chef chimed in. Because of our mutual trust, we often issue many receipts at once, or sometimes just simplified receipts. Inwardly, he seethed with resentment towards Kalina. She knew nothing, yet here she was interfering. As soon as the evidence arrived, he would dispose of it. If she questioned the missing ingredients, he would simply claim they'd spoiled and been discarded. And simplified receipts weren't illegal. As long as they matched the ledger, they wouldn't be discovered. However, after hearing this, Kalina burst out laughing. The servants exchanged bewildered glances. What was wrong with the princess? Kalina spoke coldly. Mutual trust, so no receipt? It seems I've been far too lenient with you lately. Had anyone ever seen such a disregarded princess? Not only was she looked down upon by the servants, but they even dared to blatantly lie to her face. Kalina realized she had been underestimated. These people thought they could manipulate her simply by pandering to her whims. They even dared to use such obvious lies to deceive her. Even though Kalina had strived to be different, to control her emotions and think rationally, one thing remained unchanged. She was a natural-born villainess. Elsewhere, Lady Hillier fumed over Kalina's interference. Does she think managing palace affairs is simple? One learns little by little after becoming the crown princess. Only when she becomes the empress can she hold the power to manage palace affairs. That ignorant Princess Kalina has no right to manage palace affairs at all. And I heard that the princess chose 4 young and naive maids to serve her. Even if she has no brains, there should be a limit. She's utterly incompetent. Lady Hillier was still thinking that once Lord Li Shi returned, Kalina wouldn't be so arrogant. However, before that could happen, Bella arrived before her. Lady Hillier, Her Highness the Princess requests your presence. On the way, Lady Hillier continued to complain internally about Kalina's lack of awareness as a princess. But why would the princess suddenly summon her? And this is the direction of the kitchen. Could it be that idiot, the head chef, has been caught? If he's really been discovered, then I'll just push all the blame onto the head chef. I can't be dragged down by those fools. However, upon arriving at the kitchen, the scene before her eyes stunned her. Your Highness, what happened? Why is the kitchen in such chaos? Kalina smiled brightly. Lady Hillier, you arrived just in time. I'm having the carriages searched. Seeing his ally arrive, the head chef quickly shouted, "What crime have I committed? Why are you arresting me for no reason?" Kalina's face still held an innocent smile. Of course, I wouldn't arrest you without reason. Someone empty it all out. Watching the stones pour out, the head chef still refused to admit guilt. Someone must have framed me. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he received a slap from Kalina. As the head chef, you not only embezzled money from the treasury, but now you dare to defy the royal family. Imprison everyone involved in this matter. Remember to interrogate each person carefully. I will be monitoring your work. Lady Hillier felt that things were going badly. Does this girl think she can do whatever she wants? I must take this opportunity to teach her a lesson. This is the most arrogant maid I've ever seen. Facing the princess, not only was she haughty, but she also spoke of teaching the princess a lesson. Your Highness, you can't suddenly supervise the work of your subordinates without prior notice. Doing so will chill the hearts of those loyal subordinates. Kaylina smiled. You're right. The headmaid truly is a role model for everyone. You've pointed out the parts one hadn't considered. Lady Hillier actually thought Kaylina was praising her and became complacent. The fact that she helped keep watch must not be discovered. Otherwise, her reputation would be severely damaged. She was the model maid of the palace. She never imagined that Kaylina would drop the bomb the next second. Headmaid, you have excellent taste. It seems the palace salaries are more generous than I imagined. Where did you get all the jewelry you're wearing? Lady Hillier explained that they were gifts she had received, and she even had certificates. Kaylina thought the person before her was utterly foolish. The 16-piece earrings of the Madrina royal family, who attempted to invade our country and were annihilated years ago. The ruby ring of the Boleyn family, who plotted to assassinate the royal family. As a headmaid, the gifts you received are the possessions of these rebellious traitors? A mere traitor, daring to stroll around the palace so brazenly. Arrest this rebel immediately. Lady Hillier trembled after hearing this. She hadn't rebelled. Kaylina leaned closer to her. I know you've done a lot for the royal family. You must feel wronged if I doubt your loyalty. So, I will investigate this matter slowly and uncover the truth to clear your name. Then she began to instruct her subordinates to detain Lady Hillier's family and to search the kitchen. After the incident, Bella knelt and begged for punishment. Because of her foolishness, she almost brought shame upon the princess and put Olivia in danger. Kaylina felt that their actions today were indeed reckless. Confronting cunning people head-on would put them at a disadvantage. Kaylina didn't want them to get hurt. Fortunately, their judgment was correct. They were indeed guilty, and it was a serious crime of embezzling from the treasury. You did a great job. Bella then remembered something important. When he reported the matter to the king had instructed him to assist Kaylina fully. Kaylina smiled. He needed to consider carefully what reward he should request from the king and how to deal with Rejep. However, Hillier's jewelry certificate was a black market forgery. Jewelry from a traitorous family. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Whoever was behind this must have planned to dispose of her after using her. Only one person was capable of such a thing, and that is the eldest son, Heinrich. Can you believe it? A bastard son, yet he possesses the right to inherit the throne. Even the black market is under his control. The head maid and the head chef are just a few of the bribed spies. There must be many more spies within the palace. This gave Kaylina quite the headache. Another person to deal with, and that leisure fellow wouldn't be easy to handle. Elsewhere, outside a mansion, despite the late hour, lights blazed brightly. A woman lurked by the entrance, glancing furtively around. The Sidre estate was as magnificent as ever. The Girii family name truly lived up to its reputation. She tugged on the rope by the door. Soon, steps appeared before her. The woman descended, one step at a time. Slowly, she removed her cloak. The woman was, and the maid. Breathlessly, she declared she had important information regarding the princess. Sidre, facing her, remained expressionless, waiting for her to continue. He had planted spies in the princess's mansion as a precaution. However, he hadn't anticipated the increasing frequency of urgent reports, and, having found a seat, recounted Kaylina's visit to the central kitchen that day. Sidre pondered. Olivia's entry into the palace, the head chef's embezzlement, the head maid being detained and searched, and the emperor's strong support for Kaylina's actions. How had the princess managed to obtain all this information? And continued, explaining that the princess had been reading travelogues from various regions lately. She had expressed a desire to inspect potential summer retreats. The wet nurse they had contacted hadn't replied yet either. Sidre made a mental note. If Lady Chloe returned to the palace, she would likely assume the position of headmaid. He would need to have someone keep an eye on her as well. And then remembered something else. Last night, Prince Rejep had visited the princess's chambers. Although he was under house arrest, there seemed to be a secret passage in the prince's quarters. Loud noises had emanated from the princess's room at the time. Sidre surmised their conversation hadn't been pleasant. Recep must have gone to see Kalina with resentment in his heart. Although he didn't know the specifics of their discussion, one thing was certain. Kalina had successfully persuaded Recep. It seemed there was an increasing amount of information he needed to gather. Princess Kalina was truly remarkable. Every action she took caused upheaval within the palace. Just then, and spoke again. Closing her eyes, she declared dramatically, "I overheard the princess last night. She truly hopes that you and Lady Olivia will have a happy ending." Sidre's face flushed with anger. He turned to Base, his subordinate. "Is there any way I can arrange a chance encounter with the princess?" Had he ever seen such a reckless prince? Trying to win over his own mother's rival, and even protect her? Gino was deeply displeased. "Please reconsider, Your Highness. Why are you trying to win over Kalina? She is dangerous." Recep retorted. "Dangerous? How so?" Gino resorted to his usual tactics. "Your power will be usurped more easily," he exclaimed. Recep fixed him with a stare. "Are you saying the power I hold will definitely be taken by Kalina's son?" Gino pressed on. "If Kalina becomes queen, her son will be the legitimate heir. The factions supporting you are all conservative nobles. Your position will become precarious." Before he could finish, Gino was struck. "Damn the legitimate heir. No matter how arrogant Kalina becomes, the one who sits on the throne in the end will be me. The sight of you sickens me. Get out." Gino, thrown out, seethed with resentment. Recep was slipping from his grasp. Meanwhile, Recep recalled Kalina's words. She had said she desired freedom. Recep summoned his subordinate, Jamil, and ordered him to distribute portraits of Kalina throughout the entire country. "Especially to the borderlands and ports," he emphasized. "Make sure even the vagrants in the villages recognize her face. Once this is done, the only thing left is the marriage." Recep flashed a brilliant smile. "Sister Kalina, I will never allow you to escape me." At that moment, Jamil reported back, "Your Highness, the princess is currently purging corruption within the palace departments. Not only the head maid and the head chef, but numerous other staff are being punished as well." Recep's face darkened instantly. Kalina was trying to dismantle his influence, and she had even summoned Sidre to the palace. That meant the now vacant head maid position would undoubtedly be filled by Sidre. That detestable woman. She had constantly interfered with his attempts to get close to Kalina. That's why Recep had deliberately framed her, leading to her exile. He had finally gotten rid of her, and he absolutely couldn't allow her to return to the palace. She would undoubtedly try to drive a wedge between him and his sister. So, Recep decisively ordered Jamil, "Take care of Sidre. Make sure she never reaches the capital." The naive-looking blonde girl before them, known as the most beautiful woman in the eastern region, and the woman beside her had been summoned to the palace to serve as maids. Julia looked around, taking in her surroundings. Why is the palace in such disarray? She wondered. The woman next to her not only had a rather severe expression, but was also incredibly quiet. Julia appraised Susan. "Although she is certainly beautiful," she thought, "she's still not as pretty as me. I am the most beautiful woman in the Eastern Empire, after all." When Julia had learned of her selection as a maid in the princess's household, she had been overjoyed. Finally, she would escape the unattractive men of the East and journey to the bustling capital. She imagined attending glamorous tea parties, wearing the latest fashions, and befriending elegant nobles. The mere thought filled her with bliss. Just then, Bella arrived. Julia offered a slight curtsy, her every movement graceful and poised. The two women followed Bella. They were now on a tour of the palace. Julia knew that Bella was the only senior maid who had remained after the recent upheaval. Bella seemed cold and unsmiling, her demeanor rather intimidating. The thought of working with someone like her filled Julia with a touch of trepidation. Learning that Olivia had already arrived surprised Julia. She assumed it was because Olivia's family lacked wealth and influence, and this was her way of currying favor with the princess. Julia had first encountered the family name during her discreet investigations. A penniless, insignificant noble family in the capital, yet rumored to be involved with Sidre. However, hearing that Sidre was incredibly handsome made Julia's heart flutter with excitement. Bella informed the two women that they would be meeting the princess shortly and instructed them to prepare themselves. "Don't take too long," she added. Back in her room, Julia collapsed onto the bed. "I thought there would be a grand welcome," she muttered, disappointed. "Still, The room is quite nice, she conceded. The most beautiful woman in the Eastern Empire. Even in the capital, it seemed. She had assumed the palace would be filled with stunning women. After spending an hour primping and preening, Julia finally emerged. Susan was already waiting outside. "You're ready rather quickly," she remarked dryly. "I thought you were preparing for a ball." Bella arrived moments later, taking in the tense atmosphere. These two were complete opposites. Bella suddenly found herself missing Olivia. On their way, Julia inquired, "What's happening in the palace?" Bella explained, "Her Highness is addressing some improprieties within the palace. Things will return to normal soon. Once they do, you two can begin learning your duties." They soon arrived at the drawing room. When Julia saw Kaylina, her eyes widened in astonishment. Compared to this woman, she felt utterly provincial. This woman, Julia, considered herself the most beautiful in the East. Yet, in the presence of the Empire's true beauty, she felt utterly eclipsed. Kaylina inquired about Julia's family, the Marquisate of Gino. "It must be a busy time for your family. I'm grateful you could join the palace as a maid at such a time." Julia, practically vibrating with excitement, replied, "I've always dreamt of the palace, so I'm thrilled to be here. And truthfully, my brothers handle all the work at home, so I'm not busy at all." Kaylina then turned her attention to Susan. "How is your father's health lately? I would be so pleased if he could attend my coming-of-age banquet." Unlike Julia's effusiveness, Susan responded coolly, "I will write to my father and inform him." Bella found Susan's aloofness disagreeable. While Miss Julia's somewhat frivolous demeanor is a bit of a headache, she thought, Miss Susan is a touch too cold. Olivia, as always, was a different story. She was the only maid born in the capital, and thus well-versed in palace etiquette. Lost in her thoughts, Bella was startled when Kaylina asked her to explain the duties of a palace maid. Ever the diligent worker, Bella snapped back to attention. Clearing her throat, she began, "Palace maids primarily serve the royal family, beginning with His Majesty the Emperor. The two of you will be personal maids to Her Highness the Princess and will eventually become senior maids of the princess's household." Deeming Bella's explanation sufficient, Kaylina dismissed the two new maids to their quarters. Back in their room, Julia was having an existential crisis. How could this be? She had envisioned herself in elegant gowns, holding the princess's parasol, attending glamorous gatherings. Her dreams of becoming the capital's most beautiful woman were crumbling before her eyes. Kaylina was the undisputed beauty of the capital. Not only that, but Julia was expected to serve her. "Why me?" she lamented. "Couldn't the lower-ranking maids do this?" Just then, an appeared. "You must be Miss Julia," she said. "You are indeed as beautiful as they say." A few more flattering words, and Julia had, and completely charmed. Julia decided this maid had excellent taste, and continued, "You don't yet know your specific responsibilities, do you? Let me explain. You will be in charge of Her Highness's meals, tea, and medicinal prescriptions." Julia was aghast. She couldn't cook, and she possessed zero medical knowledge. How was she supposed to manage this? The most beautiful woman in the Eastern Empire, reduced to serving the princess. Julia felt like she was losing her mind. "If I have to handle all of this," she thought, "what do the others do?" And explained, "Bella is responsible for administration and education. Susan manages Her Highness's wardrobe and jewelry. Olivia handles guest reception, banquets, and external affairs." Julia's ears perked up. Banquets were her forte. Olivia was practically at the center of the capital's social scene. External affairs should be handled by someone with a striking appearance, Julia mused. "Since my family lacks influence here, perhaps I could ask my brother to help me swap positions." And, however, quickly dashed her hopes. That's absolutely impossible. These appointments were made directly by the princess. If you wish to exchange roles, you must petition the princess directly. But all of these duties can be learned. Don't worry. Julia, however, was lost in her own world. Even Susan's responsibilities seemed preferable. Was the princess doing this on purpose? And sighed. Julia clearly didn't grasp the importance of her assigned tasks. Oblivious to the significance of her role, Julia only desired glamorous duties. Why would the princess choose someone like this as a senior maid? And wonder baffled. Julia, meanwhile, grew increasingly despondent. She hadn't come to the palace to cook. With her stunning beauty, prestigious family name, and the title of princess's maid, she was the perfect bride-to-be. She had hoped to meet her ideal partner here, to fall in love. Perhaps a romantic encounter with Lord Sidre. Just then, a nearby maid chimed in. His Highness the Prince is also in the palace. Perhaps you could have a romantic encounter with him. Julia wasn't interested in younger men, but if he was Kalina's brother, he must be handsome. Time continued its relentless march after the maid's arrival. The kitchen incident had concluded, the corruption purged, and honest individuals appointed to positions of authority. Kalina granted these individuals the necessary authority and rewarded them accordingly. Praises for Kalina began to echo through the palace. Recep had only been confined for 5 days, and already Kalina had taken complete control of palace affairs. Just then, Bella brought news. Duke Sidre, to celebrate Kalina's coming of age, was planning to build a new building at the Royal Academy. He even wanted to invite the princess to discuss its purpose. Kalina thought he must be mad. To build an entire building just for a chance to see her? What on earth was this man thinking? What a bizarre turn of events. The engagement between the heroine and her betrothed had been broken off, and the heroine was overjoyed. Olivia, reading the letter from her father, was practically beaming. The letter stated that Olivia's engagement to the Sidre family was null and void. Just then, Bella arrived, her face etched with exhaustion, yet her eyes shone brightly. People who have a goal and strive for it with all their might are truly beautiful. Olivia began to question herself. Would she, like Bella, find someone who recognized her potential? Perhaps Princess Kalina was her first such mentor. After a cup of coffee, Bella spoke. Her Highness's guest is arriving unexpectedly, so we've decided to expedite your training. You'll be attending to him. Olivia was puzzled. Why the special training just for her? And why did everyone seem so eager for her to attend to this particular guest? Learning that the guest was Ivan Sidre, Olivia felt the pressure mount. She had just learned of her broken engagement, and now she was to attend to Ivan? Why would the princess give such an order? Something like this, with the potential for future complications, couldn't just be accepted. If it is Her Highness's command, I shall obey. But before I do, I must speak with the princess. In her chambers, Kalina was attending to palace affairs. Seeing Olivia enter, Kalina knew Bella had already spoken to her. Olivia got straight to the point. I am not capable enough. I fear I am ill-suited for this task. Kalina offered words of encouragement. Don't worry, you're so quick-witted, you won't make any mistakes. Olivia continued. Your Highness must know that my engagement to Lord Sidre has been called off. Kalina broke out in a cold sweat. Olivia was far too direct. She had been avoiding the topic, fearing the awkwardness it would bring. But now, silence was no longer an option. Kalina began slowly. Since you have become my maid, relinquishing your engagement was inevitable. And you don't find it regrettable, do you? I know what you're worried about. I, too, once admired Lord Sidre and was blinded by jealousy. I even humiliated and tormented you. Kalina bowed her head. I apologize for my past behavior. I am sorry. The former bully, who had enjoyed public humiliation, was now bowing in apology. Olivia gasped, covering her mouth in surprise. The Empire's only princess, humbling herself like this? She quickly took Kalina's hand, assuring her that she hadn't taken the past incidents to heart. Kalina smiled. Olivia was as kind as ever. In her past life, Kalina had been intensely jealous of Olivia because the Sidre family had supported Olivia's family. Every encounter had been an opportunity for Kalina to torment Olivia, making her a laughingstock. In her foolishness, Kalina had been manipulated by Recep into poisoning Olivia. But after Olivia had been revived through magical means, she held no resentment towards Kalina. Upon learning of Recep's manipulation, she had even pitted Kalina. Of course, the current Olivia knew nothing of this. Composing herself, Kalina stated frankly, I will marry a better man in the future, so let's not dwell on Lord Sidre. Olivia laughed. How could the princess marry another man? It must be a ploy to put her at ease. Accepting the task, Olivia met with Sidre. She didn't know the man sitting before her. She only knew that Sidre, with his raven hair and blood-red eyes, was the picture of a gentleman. He was the benefactor of her family and the man who had just broken off their engagement. The princess had mentioned that Lord Sidre preferred his tea strong. Sidre could tell the tea was brewed from the leaves he had gifted her previously. Olivia hadn't known his preference for strong tea. The princess must have told her. Her soft brown hair and calm, gentle green eyes. He had seen her portrait during the engagement discussions, so he had some recollection of Olivia. Having her attend to him must have been the princess's doing. Kalina had once said she hoped Olivia and Sidre would find happiness together. Sidre, on the one hand, felt Kalina was trying to appease him, and on the other, since she genuinely wasn't interested in him. Sidre realized he truly couldn't fathom Kalina's thoughts. Olivia softly spoke. Her Highness said she will be a little late. Please forgive her. Her Highness has been incredibly busy lately, interrogating prisoners and attending to other matters. I also heard you donated a building to the Royal Academy. Olivia continued to fill the silence as they waited. Sidre replied only with curt words, making the atmosphere quite awkward. If the standard of a gentleman was to avoid pestering women, then this man certainly fit the bill. However, his current awkwardness hardly seemed gentlemanly. Could it be because of their near engagement that he was acting this way? Olivia resolutely stood. If my presence makes you uncomfortable, I can call another maid to attend to you. The supposed hero and heroine of this story had zero chemistry. What was going on? Sidre gave Olivia a cool glance, immediately saying it wasn't necessary and that he was being rude. However, any favorable impression she might have had was completely gone. Olivia had sensed from the beginning that this man held no affection for her. Though he wasn't overtly arrogant, his demeanor was still unsettling. Why would Her Highness be drawn to such a cold man? Just then, Kalina arrived, as elegant and beautiful as ever. Olivia breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness the princess had arrived. Kalina glanced around the room, her gaze settling on the teacups on the table. Upon seeing Kalina, Sidre immediately rose, his expression shifting to one of obsequiousness. Kalina beamed, perfectly prepared. I knew I could count on you, Olivia. You've done well. Seeing himself overlooked, Sidre quickly bowed. Kalina studied him. Lord Sidre, you seem different today. Bas, standing nearby, was overjoyed as he was the one responsible for Sidre's new hairstyle. Letting his bangs down made him look younger. Sidre asked a touch shyly, "Does this style not suit me?" Kalina replied, "It suits you perfectly. I prefer you like this." Sidre took Kalina's hand, about to kiss it, but Kalina realized she wasn't wearing gloves. She fumbled to pull her hand back, but Sidre kissed the back of it. Kalina gasped, covering her mouth, a blush rising on her cheeks. He had done the same thing last time. Why was he doing it again? Had she inadvertently offended him? Or had he caught her in some compromising position? Olivia curtsied to take her leave. Kalina started to protest, but Sidre spoke. "Until next time, Miss Olivia." Kalina felt the atmosphere between them was undeniably strange. She had deliberately left them alone, believing they would eventually become a couple, that feelings would naturally develop. But now, it seemed she had oversimplified matters. After Olivia left, the two sat down. Kalina was surprised to learn the new building would be named after her. Sidre was the first man to offer her prestige instead of gowns or jewels. In the past, Kalina would have refused, but this gift represented Ivan's approval, so she graciously accepted. Seeing her delight, Sidre asked, "Shall we build another then?"